And hello everyone, and welcome to a new stream here on Access the Animus. My name is Marco, and today I am joined by two special guests because we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows and the test that we had at Ubisoft Quebec. I am joined today by the marvelous Andy Reloads and AC Landmarks Arshak. Welcome to the stream. Hello guys.
Thanks, Marco. What an introduction, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, fire.
Thanks, thanks for getting us on the stream again. I know we've done a few in the past, but very much looking forward to having a chinwag this evening about everything that we've experienced and everything that's come online. Lots to talk about.
I can't wait. Okay. Are you fired up, Arshak?
Oh, I'm fired up, buddy. I've been fired up ever since we were talking about this live stream at the dinner we had over there.
Really, like this live stream we've planned it or like considering doing it since we were in Quebec. Like after we saw some of the stuff about the game, after we tested it. It's been long in the making, so I'm happy that we're able to do it properly. Hello Joseph in the chat. Hello Markerman, Damon Jackson, Assassin's Creed community. Hello everybody. Camila, welcome. So yeah, like today we're going to discuss Assassin's Creed Shadows, share some of our impressions about what we all tested while we were at Ubisoft Quebec. All of us played 6 hours of the game. We saw a lot of presentations as well at the studio. We can discuss those as well if we get to talk about those topics. And I forgot to mention the beautiful Sary joining us also today. She also played the game for a few hours as well. So if you want to chime in, you can do that.
Nice. Oh yeah. Interested to hear thoughts.
So as you guys can see, we're also rolling up some of my gameplay footage that was captured at Ubisoft Quebec. So guys, in the chat, if you guys have any questions, any burning questions that you might have about the game, feel free to write them in the chat. Also, if you're seeing anything on the screen that you would like us to stop and look at it like properly, we can also zoom in a little bit as well. We are starting with the main quest that was available in the build, but we also have like side activities we can show you guys, a lot of exploration and stuff. So
Marco,
yes,
can I just quickly jump in and just say a big hello to some absolute juggernauts, some legends in the AC community in the chat, like Aquila, Viva, Jimbo, Jabakin, Viva Stars, great to see you. But the hidden one, mate, big congrats on the 100K.
Hello.
We need to get him on this stream.
Definitely.
he needs to get on here. Mate, great to see you. Big congrats on the 100K. Well deserved. Keep up the great work.
Congratulations, really.
Yeah, no, massive. He's absolutely smashing it. Absolutely killing it. This guy.
He is.
Anyway, great to see you all on the stream.
I'm seeing already a question, like somebody like Vamply, I think, asked if this is live gameplay. It's not. I think only
I wish.
Yeah, I wish as well. Like only a few streamers and content creators could play the game live, but only on January the 23rd. Like this is footage from when I played, and as you can see, first time, like as soon as you start the game, so you can like, I didn't think this through. Like we're also seeing my thought process as I was playing the game. I didn't consider that. So
nice.
Yeah, I think at some point, like quite soon, we're gonna go through all like skills and stuff, so we can also move on if we want to see more like direct gameplay. But yeah, a lot of new animations for like animal petting. I didn't expect those, but like,
well, yeah,
is it new or not? Like you guys might be.
I think it was in Mirage. We could certainly pet the cat as well. Valhalla was another one. I do remember that. So I think it's mainly been in those games.
Yeah, but is it like the same animation? I'm not
sure. Sorry.
That's what I meant. Like new animation, like for cat and dog petting. And
it's a great question. I honestly don't know. I think I think I recognize when the cat or dog jumps up
Yeah.
into your arms to to then give it a stroke.
Yeah,
But
yeah, this is different. Like, and
yeah,
something amazing that I noticed, because like we might circle back to this, like when we get to talk about the hideout. But I placed an adult dog and a puppy dog next to each other in the hideout. You can do that in the game, and then you can go and pet them. And something I noticed is like I did pet the adult first and then the puppy, and now he said, "Oh yeah, you too." So it considered you petting another animal first.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Oh, that was
that's
cool.
actually
I
really
didn't
good.
expect that. So
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are like super small things in the game that make it super real and realistic.
Well,
What I also noticed is when I was in the hideout and I was petting the big Akita dog
Okay.
um thing after petting the Akita puppy, the puppy literally ran and was seeking attention from me.
Ah, that's nice.
He was very jealous.
I
I
mean,
was
yeah.
as a dog owner,
yeah,
like that feels
yeah,
really realistic. Dogs being
No,
yeah,
jealous of attention.
no,
yeah.
I
Plus, puppies are so cute.
no, I love it. Can I just jump in? Jimbo's
Yep.
just asked a quick question.
Yeah,
He
sure.
said in the chat, how smooth was the gameplay?
Oh,
I
that's
think I
interesting.
remember Andy saying it was 4K 60 FPS. I asked, that's what I was on my station. I don't know if it was different for anyone else. I don't know if you guys got different information, but it seemed pretty smooth from my side of things. I didn't have any bugs during my playthrough at all, even though the switching between Yasuke and Naoe, I still don't think I'm going to do too much of that in the game. I thought it was pretty smooth. And I think overall, my actual experience as far as from a gameplay standpoint was uneventful, but in a pretty good way because I wasn't crashing out, I wasn't bugging out, I wasn't glitching out, and I wasn't pranging out with any sort of kind of unintentional animus glitches in the game. It all ran pretty great for me. I'd love to hear how it went for both of you though.
Yeah, for me, thing Marco,
Yep.
could I go first?
Yeah, yeah. Go on. Go on.
Yeah, yeah. So, for me, it ran very smoothly. I was on 4K 60 as well. We
Mm.
were like specced up over there, like, absolutely, um, state of the art gaming setups. Luke Stevens talked about this too. There was like a capture card over there that like captured the
Mm,
4K 60 footage
mm,
that was sent to us later on.
mm,
So everything that you're seeing is what we saw in the gameplay over there
mm,
from us, and not only that, but like um, I did notice some like during cutscenes, the light would like flicker off
Okay.
on the character.
Yeah.
Um,
mm-hmm.
sometimes, but then see that's not what we played was a November build, so those are like small little details that I think have been worked on. Assuming,
Yeah.
like it's pretty subtle details that can be worked on by now.
Surely. Yeah.
But
Mm.
yeah,
Well, I think
and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
no, sorry, mate. Sorry, carry on. What were you going to say?
Yeah, and like basically, there was this like one scene where the little kid, Hidei, like he was doing this, and then it kind of like flickered off, and that threw me off a little bit. But then I'm like, yeah,
Mm,
surely that's gonna be like taken care of at the end, and
mm, mm,
uh, yeah, but like. I just love how the characters look at each other in this game. That's like
mm,
another detail that I'm gonna go over in an extensive detail later on. It's
mm,
like the gestures and the way the eyes look at certain people. like Ubisoft studied that in Japanese culture. But yeah, I'm gonna let Marco talk about his experience first.
Yeah, like honestly, yeah, I felt really much, very much the same as you guys. Super
Mm.
smooth. Yeah, like I think the build like for everybody, at least that Ubisoft Quebec was in
Yeah.
4K
Yeah.
60 FPS, because also like looking at
Mm.
the footage that Ubisoft sent us, it was in 4K 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not too sure if the previews, like the remote previews, were in 4K. Not too sure. Probably
Oh,
yes.
really?
Not sure, but we did play that. It
Funny.
felt super smooth.
Mm. Yeah.
No issues, no bugs. Then,
Mm.
like at least while experiencing the game, then when I had a look at the footage, like slowing down at home, I did
Mm.
see like some minor issues, like Arshak mentioned,
Mhm. Mhm.
but nothing that can't be ironed out with a day one patch, or even before, like because like
Yeah.
they still have quite a few weeks before going gold.
Oh,
Uh,
this is it. I think it's funny you should mention going gold because that's what happened with Mirage before that game came out,
yeah.
and it was in great condition. It was one of the big
Mm-hmm.
major positives from that game. In actual fact, I was lucky enough to go to Bordeaux
Yeah.
and play a similar play test with Mirage at Ubisoft Studios there, and credit to them because when I played that playtest, it was, I wouldn't say it was a complete mess because it wasn't, but there was a dozen or so bugs in that
Ouch.
particular build. Just for
Okay.
me personally, I know it kind of varied between other playtesters, but just from my experience from Bordeaux, and then if I compare it to Quebec, and obviously Shadows is a more ambitious, larger game. I think that's really encouraging at this stage.
Yeah.
Even if the build was it a couple months old, if that. And
Yeah.
I think that's really positive, especially as you say, Marco. They're talking about a bit of clipping in the game,
Yeah.
but only when you really notice it, and that's when you're in your Premiere Pro editing suite or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're kind of going
Definitely.
through the game, and you're like, oh, I've seen a few frames glitch out there. I mean, I would take that. I mean, having played
Yeah.
Valhalla for however many years, I know you guys have done the same. I would take a few frames pranging out compared to the stealth mechanics in that game. Goodness me. So
Absolutely.
I think this is like a really positive place if the
Mm-hmm.
build is anything like the main game when
Yeah.
it's going to be released. I think that,
It's a really
and
nice starting point, for
yeah,
sure.
and I know that a lot of people in the chat and longtime AC fans, I think it all really goes back to Unity if you were playing the games for that long, and I think we've just become desensitized or accustomed to just bugs and
Mm-hmm.
really dodgy launches where we're like, okay, I'm really enjoying this game, but I can't finish it, or it's going to be fantastic in 4 months after launch. I'm actually really excited for Shadows just purely because it looks at this stage, just from our experiences, that it's going to be pretty smooth on launch, like
Yeah.
compared to previous Ubisoft titles that are released in the last few years, certainly. So that in itself, I think, is a big positive.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. We
and
I think
pass,
we got a
gone.
lot of questions in the chat. Can we go back? Because otherwise,
Oh
I
yeah, let's
man.
let's get some questions through.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
for it,
Yeah.
Marco.
Let me see. Uh,
Oh, Pascal Palace, great
yeah.
to see you, man.
Okay. So I see. Like, please tell us more about the modern day intro. I'm not sure how
Yep.
much we can talk about that, but yeah. Okay. Are you
Mm.
guys really hopeful about the future of modern day? All right. Like, this is an interesting question.
Mm.
Okay. So there is a modern day. Well, something that was
The
not mentioned by
Animus
Ubisoft
Hub, appearing
is that
for
there
the
is
first
modern
time
day
Assassin's Creed
in
Shadows. The
Shadows.
Animus Hub
And
is
this is they
Yeah.
did mention that in our interview, so it's like public information. Weird that Ubisoft did not mention that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like, we're showing the Animus Hub trailer, but there is an intro, like a modern day intro. I'm not sure how much we can spoil about that, but yeah, there's an intro. The context that was discussed in our interview basically is that there's a new Animus. It's called the Animus Ego, and the promise actually for it is that it's taking the user into a mindfulness journey of sorts, right? But this is like what Abstergo is trying to do with their users, but of course they're doing like their actual shenanigans behind the scenes, and then some external presence gets you into what is called the dark animus within the animus ego, and that's where you get to the animus hub and access the various memories. And then there was other stuff that I'm not sure if we can talk about that. So, the question was like, are you hopeful about modern day? I'm quite like.
Marco, go for it. Go on. You go while you're talking,
okay.
mate. Yeah, please. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay, so that's the answer. I mean, I don't think we have seen enough, but that's usually how it goes with modern day. I'm trying to look at the positive here is that there is some modern day in the game and not only outside, because to me as a fan, as a longtime fan and as a modern day fan, I know there's not a lot of us, but to me like modern day and historical has to be like interconnected in the same experience, not separated. But I also understand why Ubisoft had decided to like keep most of the modern day like separated, because the majority of fans are not really into modern day necessarily. So so it's understandable why they're doing this. Something else I really don't enjoy about the framing for modern day is something that I'm going to discuss in a video soon, is that the main character is once again you, the player. So it's not a character with a backstory, and also if the interface is the animus, at least at the start, like with shadows, maybe it will evolve in the future, but you are confined within the animus, and whatever is happening outside, you're not partaking in it. So
yeah, good point.
It's trying to be an immersive experience because you are in the animus, but for the modern day story, I'm not sure how immersive that is. So I have some issues with how the story is being framed now, but then again, I think we should experience it when it comes out. What do you guys think about it? Like, are you feeling the same, or?
Ash, hit us with some of this wisdom, this AC knowledge. Come on, what are you thinking?
Hey, okay, so the Animus Hub, the modern day stuff. For me, it's when I first saw it, like it's literally the first thing that you see when you start the game, which is pretty cool. I don't want to spoil the experience for you, but I see the modern day is going in a positive direction where they're prioritizing the modern day segments in Assassin's Creed Shadows while giving us more stuff to do in the Animus Hub. Like, you know, in the projects, like anomalies. I'm excited to see what the anomalies are about, because like, you know, that's gonna be maybe an Assassin's Creed Mirage kind of thing. I did ask them what the anomalies are like. Like, are they AC Mirage stuff? They 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 said, like, they didn't say if it's similar or not, but the answer kind of felt to me that um it kind of is similar, but again, it's not a confirmation that it's a similar thing, but it felt like a similar thing when we saw the concepts in the presentation, where, like, you know, you can go in the world and see the anomaly, and not only that, you you can you can also wait, where was I going?
I think with the just on that point, mate, before it flows out of my head, the anomalies, like, I think my concern there is more that they don't really push the main modern day narrative along at all. I think if you played Valhalla, you'll know that by doing those anomalies, you get each a small little clip or recording, and then it would then turn into this awesome cutscene with these two and stuff. And to be fair, I understand why that was done, because it's a bit of a teaser and gives you more understanding with the backstory, and that was pretty cool. But it was pretty bloated as well. You had to do quite a lot of them to get to that point, and that's one of my concerns, is that you would have to do a lot of those anomalies, which I think are incorporated in a daily quest, essentially, by the sounds of it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, but my understanding was 4 a day potentially, which would then contribute more into the Animus hub. That would then allow you to get Animus keys, which you could then buy more stuff at the dailies. And I'm not convinced that there's going to be a lot of modern day story stuff in there as an incentive for us to do it. I don't feel that they're going to release a cutscene every week, which is unrealistic, of course, but like once a month or a quarter, not at all. So I don't know. That's my apprehension surrounding that. But also, just on both of your points, really, about modern day, Marco, you specifically, being like a fan of the modern day. I think a lot of old AC fans or players who go and play the old games do have an affinity and a strong relationship with the modern day. But do players who have joined the franchise in the last few years, certainly the last couple games, do they really? Probably not. If I'm going to be objective, and if I put myself into their position, that I wouldn't be surprised if you jump into a big game like this and you're like, well, hold on a second, why am I getting out of why am I walking around this cabin? I don't care about any of this. Like, get me back in. I want to be doing other stuff. I want to be doing fun stuff. And I believe that's the kind of, the feedback or reception that they've had over a number of years, which is why they've kind of somewhat diminished its time in the game, forcing players into that. So I don't know. I think it's probably going to be somewhat more of an option going forward. I say option because you're going to be in the Animus hub, but by the looks of it, with the Animus hub and how it connects to the vault as well, I feel like, and all these dailies and anomalies, you could just skip it if you wanted to. But for those who want to engage with it, there's going to be options available for you to kind of learn more if you want to. That's my hot take on it. I don't know if it's going to be forced in our face, as it has been, but be interesting to see.
Like it did feel since they announced like Infinity 3 years ago. That's so long.
Wow! Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow.
Like since they announced this, like like the main idea was to like if you guys want to engage, it's here. If you don't want, like they already attempted something like that in the games already. Like in Origins, the Isu stuff was like mostly optional. Modern day in Odyssey was oftentimes separated, but you had to go through it, but there was not a lot of that. So and in Valhalla as well, like what they tried to do was to have the anomalies, which I mean, you did not have to exit the simulation, and that was a nice idea.
True.
I also don't think like at all that these anomalies, they're called anomalies, but they're not going to be like the Animus anomalies in Valhalla, in my opinion. I think during the presentation that we had in Quebec City, there was like a small frame that showed how the anomaly would be presented, and it was basically, I think it was like Yasuke walking, I don't know where it was, like walking in the Japanese in Japan, and then there were like glitches around him, and that was it. And basically these missions are going to make use of Shadow's main gameplay loops. So it's gonna be, I don't know, kill those 3 thugs or whatever. Like I feel like it's going to be very similar, and the loop also is very similar. Like you do actually it's even worse, because like you do the dailies and not always get the keys currency in order to get to the store. So I think it's going to be it might be even worse depending on the conversion rate, as you mentioned in your video, which was quite interesting. So as usual, it's going to be like super like interesting to see, and if it's not going to be appealing, I'm sure a lot of people are going to complain.
I think while we're on that topic as well, just to kind of echo some of your thoughts there in regard to this hub. I think it could be like a really good thing or a really bad thing, and I do really feel like it comes down to, as you just mentioned there, the way that it's built, the drop rates of it, the kind of inflation of the currency and what you can buy with it, and also what becomes available in that store with the Animus keys to incentivize people to do dailies. If you're just going to get a drop rate in the exchange where there's an assortment of cosmetics that really are quite meaningless, and you've been doing your dailies enthusiastically for a number of weeks, a number of months, and then you keep seeing statues and cosmetics for your allies dropping in there, it's going to be pointless. Do you incentivize yourself to even bother with it? Why? And I think that they can make this what they want it to be, which I feel is kind of a mechanic where live service is always painted with a bit of a bad brush, as it were.
Battle Pass. Let's just say
But
Battle Pass.
it is, well, dude, I've mentioned
yeah.
Battle Pass in my videos so many times. It is what it is, But they've been trying to incorporate it in so many of their games recently. X Defiant, like Roller Champions, like they want this to work, and obviously Assassin's Creed may be that franchise to make it work for them, but only if the drop rates and everything else are respectful and worth the time. Otherwise, it's going to be like, well, why am I going to do this?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point?
I was going into that presentation expecting a battle pass.
Got one,
system.
kind of, didn't you, Ash? You kind of got one, bro, but it's free. Yeah.
True. Yeah. When they said it's free, I kept like pushing to ask like, but battle pass, you're gonna do it, right? They're like, no, it's free. Thing like, we want to reward our players for their progression in the game, and that's that. And I'm like, but you have a battle pass, right?
Yeah, it is what it is, right? It is what it is.
Listen, I want them to have a battle pass because I think that this free kind of game progression thing is gonna work for like for some time, but then they probably want us to get hungry for more. Like I there is a way where you can do this as a battle pass. It's just with everything that Ubisoft has been going through right now, mentioning a battle pass is not the right move.
Dude, I think it makes money across all games, and like people are going to engage with it. Like I'm going to engage with it, right? And I think they're probably going to come out launch day here with some hot stuff for a few weeks. So I think it's going to be back-to-back armor sets. Everyone's gonna be like, wow, this is pretty decent, and then we may see it tail off thereafter. I think there needs to be a big incentive, there needs to be a big juicy carrot for players to overcome that kind of skepticism regarding these kind of mechanics, which Ubisoft's got such a bad rep for over the years. So it's going to be super interesting, really, to see how this actually iterates and changes over time. In actual fact, I know the guys, the developers have all said the same thing to you as well. They look at the comments, they watch streams, they listen to feedback. So I think they've got enough time to
right now.
Yeah, maybe so, but they've got time to tweak it, haven't they, and listen to people's concerns. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the things that we've discussed and we are discussing does change somewhat in the lead up to launch and thereafter. So that's why it's good to have these conversations and get people asking questions and talk about it a bit more, because that's how they make their game better. That's how they get a better review, and that's how they make more money, pretty much.
Definitely.
That's it. Yeah, there you go. So
I've seen a number of like other questions in the chat, like something like we were seeing a combat sequence with the main target of the quest that was in the build, and the question was about the Shin Bakfu. They are like the main targets in the game, and he was one of them, like our main targets, of which I think there are 12, like the main ones, but there's going to be so many others, because like some of the gameplay snippets highlighted in the quest board, like highlighted that there are so many other people page in the quest board. The question was like, do you expect the Shin Bakfu to be Templars? because like I think the question behind that is also about like this time it should be like actual proper Templars with the names and stuff. And it's an interesting question because I think that
what's your take on it? Go on.
Like
Marco,
my take is like there's a lot of stuff that can be seen also like in the story trailer. Like that story already put on, man.
I know. I'm literally watching it while I'm listening to you. It's great right now.
By the way, this is like the best trailer they've had for this game.
Good.
I had to watch it like a number of times. Like we were presented with it at Ubisoft Quebec once, and then everybody asked to see it again. So like this was so freaking crazy.
My reaction to this, my reaction to this, like when the trailer ended, you know that like when Naue jumps on Yasuke and then he just goes like,
boom. That's so cool.
So cool. Yeah. My reaction was a straight up heck yeah, and then Jonathan Dumont looked at me. He's like, oh wow, do you guys want to
see it again?
See it a second time? I'm like, yeah, let's go. man, that presentation was amazing.
That was so
like,
cool. It was so cool.
It hyped us up to play the game even more, and I'm like, oh man, like the assassins are gonna lose their marbles when they see this trailer.
Definitely. Can we stop here, Sary? Can you
scared me.
I had a feeling that you were gonna go. I think I know what the frame. Just really quickly, by the way, while we get that frame up, Chris, you've asked twice. I do see you, mate. You said, are there any black box missions? Yes, there are black box missions. My understanding is there are 13. Okay. I thought it was 12. I think it's 13. That's what I was told to me when I was playing the game. So there's a lot, but just quickly on that point, they are not replayable. What you have to do is with the black box missions, you will know you're about to enter one where Naue or Yasuke, when you are speaking to the main quest giver who says, right, off you go and kill this person, there will be an option pops up which says, I am ready. And if you played previous AC games before, you know that's when, okay, we can't backtrack from here, right? So at that point, the developers told me that is when you want to save the game, because you can manually save in this game. So if as soon as you see we are ready to go, you manual save. That means that you can load the save again and you can replay that black box mission. I also, final point, sorry guys, just on this for Chris, because I love black box missions. I think they're really great. I actually asked the developers, game director and the creative director, when can we make these replayable? Because the team have done an immense amount of work to make these Assassin's Creed Hitman kind of levels. But once they're done, and it's a real waste. I asked the same about in Mirage as well. Well, they said that they were going to take that on board because I suggested that they should do it as a replayable memory when you can finish the game and just replay that black box mission, and then maybe even put it in like a community challenge, like in the mastery challenges in Valhalla, where you have a gold, silver, bronze system, and then you can have community challenges where the quickest person to actually finish this black box mission by doing X, Y, Z. Then you can have like a public community leaderboard. You can have people speed running against each other, and there's some amazing assassins YouTubers in the chat where I can already see who are incredible when it comes to the mechanics of AC games, and I can already see them running and putting through some incredible speed runs to show us how these black box missions should be played. So I just want to mention there, Chris, like, these need to be replayable. They need to make them replayable memories in the future. There's 13 of them in this game. We should be able to replay them, but hopefully this time next year will be done. I hope that answers your question. Sorry, guys.
No, actually, it was an amazing tip. Like, and it was nice on the developers to tell you, hey, you should save here if you want to go back to this before. That's an interesting tip.
Oh, dude, I was asking. Listen, I was like the Spanish Inquisition because I had the cutscene director Akeem Milne, and I was like, dude, come on, right, tell me everything right now. Like, I wasn't even playing the game. I was like handing him the controller.
Akeem was fun, man. Akeem
He's
was fun.
such a cool guy.
Yeah, such a passion for what he does. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Akeem is responsible for like one of the biggest scenes in like the AC Shadows storyline. Not gonna spoil it for you, but
Yeah.
yeah, he was just like talking passionately about that one
All
scene.
right. Yeah.
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 Anyway, Marco,
But
we got sidetracked. That was actually my fault.
Oh,
Passionately
it's fun.
speaking about Black Box missions there. I do apologize, but I'd love to hear your take on this gentleman here.
Okay. Like circling back to the are our main targets Templars or not?
that's Crawford's
As it was mentioned in the chat, like somebody in the chat did mention like the Europeans might be Templars. I think like it could be both, because like when we are playing, the Portuguese have already gotten to Japan. There's going to be like I said, like 12 targets, like official targets, and if you're mentioning 13 black boxes, it's probably because like there's a final target of sorts that might not be as usual in the quest board at the start.
Yeah. Good point.
And usually in Assassin's Creed, when there is a conflict, like Templars are almost never on one side. So I would expect like Templars to be both within the Portuguese and the Japanese, the locals, and they infiltrate every side of society. So they could be like high-ranking people, or like I definitely don't envision Oda Nobunaga to be one of them. Because like there's too much focus on this. So really, I don't expect him to be part of them. Something else that was interesting is that in the gameplay snippets that were revealed before, the embargo for the previews, they were called the Onryos. They were. Do we have the gameplay snippet? I don't think so. But
The what?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Sorry, I was talking to myself. So the Onryo in Japanese is something like the vengeful spirits, while Shinbaku means, if I did look it up, it's something like a new organization for the future, which in my opinion sounds similar to like New World Order, which is something that the Templars are always like going forward toward that. So I think like that guy might be one of the Templars, but there might be other Templars infiltrating in the society. Like we said we saw in the main quest of this build, one of our main targets is a noble man. It's actually called the Noble within the Shinbaku. So they did not. I don't think it was revealed if they are Templars or like Order of the Ancients or like whatever. Like they did not mention those names. And I'm not sure if we actually showed the dialogue, but the factions are not mentioned with the usual names that we're used to. Let's say, let's put it like that. Just look through the dialogues in the scenes that you might see, like shared by all the content creators. You might see some other names for the factions in here.
The way I look at it, Marco, is I don't know if you've seen Shogun.
Yeah, I have.
What a TV show!
Freaking
So good.
Amazing TV show. But some of the like leaders in there, like especially in the corner of like not Toranaga, but like his adversaries, they were being controlled by the Portuguese.
Yeah.
So I see it in a similar fashion where some of these Onryos are being controlled by the Portuguese, and there is something that they all need to kind of bring about something in the game. There's like this MacGuffin in there.
There is,
and
yes.
There's this MacGuffin in there, and I don't know if it's like the Portuguese need it or these Japanese daimyos needed. They might not all be daimyos, but they're all like, masked figures. Some of them are not masked. Some of them I hate. Um, Seriously. Yeah, this game really brings that kind of like it makes you want to hate them.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. But anyway,
I
uh,
Yeah.
I just want to jump in. I'd love to, I love both your takes on that, but I'm just happy that we've got some sort of Templar inclusion back in the game.
Yeah. Same.
Whatever format that is, it sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
In its kind of, I would say, traditional format. We'll see if that happens, but just by seeing the old Templar, logo, necklace, all that kind of stuff teased, it makes me want to play through the story and
Yeah.
see what the input is, what are they doing there, and what are we kind of doing about it. I just want to, Six Keys asked a good question about, do the recruits have their own stories? I asked this as well. Yes, if you're talking about the allies, yes, they do have their own stories. My understanding is there's 5 of them, but there was 6 of them on the released, I think it was leaked art, not long ago. But when I asked, when I've written down in my notes, there was 5, and there was 1 in each of the 5 major provinces, which then means that you could recruit an ally in any kind of province that you decide to go into. But then I also asked a follow-up question about that by saying, well, okay, let's say I don't finish the quest line of each province in Japan here. Can I then go into each neighboring province, start the quest, meet the main quest giver, and then recruit each of these allies? So I've got all of the recruits back in my base, in my hideout, so I can utilize or understand what abilities that I want from them to kind of complement my loadout, because you can equip 2 allies only at one time. And the answer was yes. So you can rummage around in the provinces to recruit those allies and partake in their unique storylines, because they have their own storylines, they're their own characters. And essentially, when you then recruit them back into your hideout, their storyline does continue, and it takes place at certain times as you progress the main story, but also when you recruit other allies back into the base, which then opens up more quest lines with specific allies because they chat with one another and whatnot. I hope that answers your question, Six Keys, because I was really interested to see, what's the difference between these allies and, the spy system, the spies themselves, and it's quite a lot, really. It's quite distinctive. So as far as I'm aware, from what I was told, 5 unique quest lines, 1 in each province. You can go and find them and figure out which one that you like, and also equip 2 of those allies at one time, level them up to 3 levels back in your dojo. Cool. So an encouraging mechanic.
Customize their outfits too.
Yeah, customize their outfits as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So really interesting. I'm really glad. One of my favorite mechanics in Assassin's Creed games is, the utilization or recruiting of your assassins, going back to kind of Brotherhood back in the day. Absolutely love that. So one of my favorite parts during my playthrough was calling in the my assassin to kind of assassinate after doing the old kind of assassin whistle, which was just so satisfying in a modern AC game to see that occur in front really smoothly as well. So really excited about that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these other allies have in terms of special abilities, because they've only teased 2 so far.
I wanted to mention one more thing. Well, 2 more things. One question before was like, about the gameplay replayability, and stuff like that. In that black box mission, you have 2 options: Yasuke or like Naoe. Naoe can go take care of three shinobis that are in the castle, whereas Yasuke can take care of this one big samurai uh, uh, enemy archetype as well. I chose to play as Naoe, and this is where my second point comes in. We were tasked to find the shinobis. We didn't know where they were, Anyway, I was searching up. I saw one target. I'm like, that might be the person, but I don't want to go over there. I simply clicked on my Shinobi assassin. They took care of them, and I'm like, okay, that's not it. Move on. Um, yeah, it was so instant. It reminded me of Brotherhood, as you said, Andy. It like it was just like Chef's kiss. Um,
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
that's a,
but there was a replayability in that as well, where you can replay the mission and choose Yasuke and go hunt down this samurai, and see how that turns out. Um, but yeah, like pretty, pretty cool stuff.
yeah, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just but one more question I just saw from Peda. Good to see
Oh,
you in the chat,
Peter.
mate. Yeah, I
Hello.
mean he's an urban myth, isn't he? He's an AC legend, Peda. I
The
wonder
one
if
and only.
we're going to see him return in Shadows. I hope so. But he's just asked a question. He says, "I think I know the answer, but any sign, excuse me, of mounted melee combat returning? We definitely need the Hugerheim style mechanic to replay missions." I asked about this as well. I did ask about this in terms of mounted combat. The answer is no. Apart from I think Sary just had the archery up. That's actually a mini game with Yasuke specifically for archery. But you can throw throwing knives when you're on your horse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, tried that out. That worked. You can. Some of you who played Valhalla may remember get into that crouch position while you're on a horse's back to then jump off with Eivor. And you can use Yasuke's bow, but that's pretty much it. You can't take out your katana or any of your weapons and start swinging it around while you're on your mount. That is not being included in the game when I asked the game director Charles Benoit about that. So no mounted combat, no mounted combat. And you can't even, I'm really glad Sary's got this footage up now of horse riding, because what I then further asked about, which I was a little bit confused on, is that you can auto follow during main quests, which was really great because you can just listen to the storyline, which is nice. Listen to what the characters are saying. But unlike Valhalla, you can't auto run around the world. So essentially put a marker on the map that you've explored, and then as you can see with the line on the road, you can't then just go right, follow the road as you could in Valhalla and Mirage, I believe. You can't do that in this game. You have to manually ride your horse everywhere, which it's a big map. So and I think they are trying to encourage that exploration loop. But no auto ride or run, as it were. Only auto follow during quests. So
Also about this one, when you see the Pathfinder, previously I said that you can only do that on your horse. No, you can do that with your character as well. Like you can basically toggle Pathfinder without your horse, so that you can see where you're going. Yeah, you don't need your horse for that as well, which was pretty cool.
I was actually wondering what like the left trigger, like the left D-pad button was about when you are like on the ground. And I did get like it's like Pathfinder, but also while you're on the ground. I'm seeing other.
I did want to talk about one question over here, Marco.
Sure.
About memory corridors. I think the hidden one asked about it.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to go back to that. Yeah.
I was
Great
annoyed.
question.
I was annoyed when like the last scene came and like Ukita Naoge, and I'm like, bro, where's the memory corridor? And like the developer just like looked at me and like I can't say anything. I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay. So
I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Maybe it is still in the game, but yeah,
they
they were pretty upset about it.
removed. I mean, with the builds, the devs always remove some elements to not spoil the surprise. The build itself was contained, like you cannot go anywhere in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if
So many walls.
if the memory corridor was not there. I do know that in our interview for the Animus Hub, in one of the answers we did get that the devs are going to play with the Animus waiting room / memory corridor. They didn't mention about the memory corridor with targets, but in general, like the loading screen, etc. They're going to do stuff with it in the future, though. So not sure at launch. But yeah, like for example, another thing that I was kind of looking forward to, but I'm not sure if it was in the build, was in the Hideout build there was an activity, the Kujikiri activity. Where you basically you do the hands poses and gestures, but it also, like in the description for the exploration, in the exploration article, it did mention that these activities also dive deeper in Naoi's backstory.
I heard
did
that.
Seem like something was not in there in the build, because like basically she does the hands gestures and poses, and then she says like a few lines or one line about her being one with the world, just like her father, but that was it. And it felt like something was missing there.
I agree.
So I think that the builds that we tried did not have, like, even what we tried was not necessarily like 100% how it's going to be in the game. Like stuff could have been cut. And like as we are like springing from this, like I think 6Kids also asked about the open world activities in general. Like I did mention we are seeing the kata learning activity. We saw the archery earlier. I'm gonna share my opinions, and then I want to hear what you guys think about this.
Please go ahead.
Something that both I and Sary found is that the open world, it does have its fair share of activities, but oftentimes they are on the main path, and when you go out exploring, oftentimes, because like Sary, when she plays, she enjoys way more like exploring and going outside of the main beaten path. And she did find not a lot of stuff, like going around far from the main story path, and like we all play the main quest, and the main quest takes you places, right? And in these places there are side activities close to that. But if you stray away from that, there are locations that do not have as many, activities, like side activities. There are a few locations where you have to find lost pages, which are basically collectibles that you have to find in the various locations, but you cannot read. I hate it when this happens in games. You find pages and you cannot read them. I hate it.
Oh god, same dude, same.
And in general, there were some locations and some parts of this region that we could try that felt really how can I say it? There wasn't a lot of stuff to do, and there weren't a lot of people in there as well. Like I wouldn't say empty, but really like you can see it in here. Like we did try to do some sort of parkour. We're not really good at that. But even like going around this rural town, apart from the main roads, there's nobody around, and at night also. But even during the day, it's not. I don't know. Do you feel the same? Like
I do.
You tried.
Yeah, it's a real concern. Like in actual fact, when I was speaking to Luke Stevens about this, he raised a good point about it, because in Odyssey, there's a lot of NPCs who have their own stories. They have their own lives. They head out and go fishing or whatnot, and then if you were to watch them for a prolonged period of time, you may see them kind of get eaten by a shark or whatever. There's those things that make the world feel immersive, and that's one of my concerns as well. In actual fact, post that conversation with Luke, I went to ask the game director about this. I said, you guys have worked on Odyssey, you did a great job there with all the NPCs in the world. So what's happening here? Is it going to be the same? And his answer to me was, there's actually going to be less NPCs doing their own thing in the world because the season changing mechanic in this game, which means that someone or an NPC who's out, let's say, fishing, isn't going to be doing that in winter necessarily at the same point, or sunbathing or whatnot, which means that the team then had to spend a lot of time then creating this person's routines for 4 different seasons in the game from snow. So and that's a lot. It's in there, of course. There's going to be NPCs who do that, but they haven't been able to do that on the scale that they did with Odyssey, and that's because of this new weather system to make it more immersive. Now, for the side activities as well, I agree with you, Marco, as well, and that's one of my further concerns is that they've crafted this wonderful world, and we're going to obviously run around and enjoy it, but I just feel like there's going to be parts that we're going to come across where there's going to be square kilometers of space, which there's going to be not much to do. And that's, for me, I've always kind of advocated for kind of smaller Assassin's Creed games, which are denser, and I think that's a good way to go. But equally, we did, in fairness, not see the rest of the world, but also we didn't see a lot of the other activities that have already been publicly stated and teased. So, for example, I think we've got called the Kofun, tombs, or puzzles, similar to kind of Valhalla, where we need to navigate our way through parkour, whatnot, to get to kind of presumably a chest or gear chest at the end. We've also got the trails, actually. I think that's what is it Sary or yourself, Marco, were doing that on the gameplay footage now?
But I don't think it wasn't a trail activity, more like a parkour nav path. It was just part of the world.
Oh, so a synchronization point. Okay, well, I believe there's also these hidden trails as well, similar to Ghost of Tsushima, where you kind of have to navigate up this pathway in the Japanese mountains and get to the end point where, presumably again there's going to be a chest there. Just kind of trying to think what else we have in just from my notes when I asked them, but I think you've covered the rest really. I think those are the main activities in this game, and that's pretty much it. Unless there's going to be anything else. So we've got, in short, then we've got the tombs, which are puzzles. We've got the hidden trails, which is running up through the mountains. We've got the kata, which we've discussed, which can also be auto-completed in the settings, so you don't have to do anything. We've got the Kujikuri, excuse the pronunciation, for meditation there. I believe we've got the archery as well.
And then swimming as well.
Yeah, so and then we've also got the painting.
The sommelier.
Sommelier painting. So there's quite a few there, but whether they're going to be captivating enough to, that you're going to want to do them, but
and also it's going to be interesting to see how they are scattered in the world, because like my worry is like, is the exploration rewarded if I'm going around like without necessarily going for the question marks? Am I going to actually be distracted by stuff around me if I am far from the story path? Because like when I tested the main quest, there was a lot of stuff that distracted me, like the Sumie painting, like even like smaller stuff. There are shrines that you can pray to, and it gives you like buffs for armor or attack or whatever.
That's actually 6 Keys just raises a really good point about world events, which I completely forgot about.
Yeah, true.
Well, I did ask, and there is, but what they are mainly for now is for the recruitment of scouts, which are separate from allies. So you could come across a world event where someone's being robbed, for example, and you can then choose to help them out or not. If you do, then that would potentially recruit a scout to your cause, which you can then use in the menus to help you navigate through the main quest. So there are world events, there are Easter eggs like we had from Valhalla. I asked about that as well. So other side quests
as well.
Contracts,
and opportunities. Those are all in the Kakuregas, which are basically the extendable hideouts for you in certain locations that you can unlock and recruit more spies
Hmm.
if you run out of some. Though honestly, if you really want to be immersed, you
Mm.
really just have to wait for the season to end, um, for the spies to like come back to you.
Mm.
That that would be that would be cool. But I mean, it's based on your own kind of gameplay uh choices.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Uh, yeah, but to that, like what uh what my thoughts are on that is, um I mean, let's compare it to the elephant in the room, in here, Ghost of Tsushima. Thing in terms of activities, um I found the Kujikiri to be a kind of the reflective activity that Jin Sakai does in like Ghost of Tsushima when he's at the
Hmm.
when he's at the springs, for example,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
Um, he like reflects on something, but what you have with AC Shadows is like this rhythm game that at first I found kind of frustrating, but then I'm like, dude, just like turn off your mind and just follow the
Mm.
rhythm.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be pretty therapeutic, honestly. Um, but but yeah, like you have those type of mini games that you you just go do them.
Mm.
Uh, Ghost of Tsushima also had like chasing down foxes to go and pray at shrines. Um,
Mm.
I think AC Shadows also has praying at shrines, but without following foxes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they're like similar side activities,
Hmm.
but mostly what I found was I just said do this, she or he does it, and that's it. Yeah, it just like collect Pokemons, kind of. It felt like collecting Pokemons for me. I'm like, um, give me more to do with with these with these activities. I really like the Fujikiri though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marco,
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of questions from
yeah.
people
Let's
in
go
the
back to all of them because like
in
so
the
many questions
in
in
the
the chat.
chat. I think one that keeps popping
Yeah,
up is, what's the difference between
with
scouts
scouts and
and
allies.
allies, and I completely understand. If you'd allow me, I'd love to just quickly
Yeah,
blast
please
through
go
that.
because I think you know more than us because you
I
also
asked
got
about
some of the
this.
questions. So yeah,
Yeah,
go
basically,
on, man.
I got really lucky, really briefly, because with Akeem, he was helping me with my game station, and that's why I basically asked him for about 2.5, 3 hours, a load of questions. I basically had my private interview for my whole game session, so I was just spamming questions at him. So that's why I kind of. I've got a few answers here in that regard. So the main difference between scouts and allies is allies, there's 5 of them from what we've been told. These are unique quest lines, unique stories of handcrafted characters in the world in those 5 provinces that you recruit and you build a relationship with. I did ask if you could romance them. I didn't get a concrete answer, so I'm taking that as a yes, certain ones anyways. And you can then recruit them, finish their quest, bring them back to your hideout. Those 5 allies are going to give you an assortment of abilities unique to each of those 5 allies. And I'll give you an example. You can recruit, I can't remember his name. He's an assassin and he allows you to instant kill a target. You can call him in with your famous assassin whistle and he'll do the business and he'll run away. You can also call in another ally. I think her name was Yaya, who's a big, massive
Yeah.
tank, and she storms in Hulk mode and pretty much aggroes all of the enemies in the vicinity. So you can just sit back and just take out whoever, or you can move on and run away as a distraction if you're playing as Noway, perhaps. Now, those are just 2 examples because those are the 2 two allies that we got to show off, but there's three more, and those other three will have different abilities that you may have a personal preference for. And the incentive to then upgrade or use that ally is they have 3 different levels, and those 3 different levels enhances their ability. So, for example, the assassin, you'll only be able to kill 1 enemy when you call him in, but if you get him to the max level, I think it's like 2. He'll kill 2 enemies and do something else like a smoke bomb. I can't remember, but you get the point here. You find an ally you like, you level them up, but also as you progress through the main story, they will also have follow-up quests, like in Valhalla, for example.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that you get to know them better. Now, that's the allies, okay? They're going to be in your hideout. You're going to use them and call them throughout the game. Scouts, you have to think of scouts as almost like a resource.
It's a resource, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a resource. It's a game mechanic in the game. So what that means is that you can go, 6 Keys asked this earlier, yeah, so you could go out into the open world, come across a random world event, you meet this person who's in dire need, is really on the ropes in life, and you help them out and then say, hey, look, come join my assassin brotherhood, come to the hideout, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, yeah, sure, sounds great. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Then they will be walking around your hideout, but you won't be able to interact with them. You won't be able to build a relationship with them. And they then become that scout dot on your screen. And those scouts on your screen, you'll see those dots, you'll use them for a variety of purposes in game. One of them is to then discover the quest or investigation on the map where you are. So basically a blue orb appears. You may have seen it on the previews. It like springs up. You can specifically place where you think the clue will be. And if you use the scout in the right place, then that clue will show up in the map and further your main quest line. The second way to use the scout is when you clear a castle or a hideout or a bandit camp. What you will find in that hideout is a big resource chest or like a big box full of like wood, stone, and stuff that that's it. Hay that you can use back in your hideout to upgrade your buildings or build more buildings. Now, when you clear that hideout, you can then use a scout from your main menu to then, or you assign that scout, and what they will do is they will smuggle. It's called smuggling, and they will then bring back resources and during that season, which lasts 40 minutes in game, and they will bring back those resources back to your base. And when the season changes, you will get more resources by allocating a scout to that hideout, whatever resource, which is then called smuggling. They won't stay there perpetually through the seasons. So those are and there's a third one. Excuse me. There's a third the third mechanic that you can use for scouts, and that's to clear your notoriety meter or wanted level within a district. So basically, which I find actually a bit of a waste of time, because the only way that you can get wanted is if someone one of the enemies ring a bell in a bandit camp. When that happens, the whole province is on alert. So let's say you've been discovered and the bell's been rung while you're as Yasuke. Well, you can use just a scout on your main screen to refresh that, so then you're not being peeked out. Or you can just change characters to Naoe and then it will disappear from Yasuke. So it doesn't, and then change back to Yasuke and it's like, oh, it's gone. So those are the main differences, and you can cheese the game basically by getting, I think, like they said, about 15 scouts. And you can just spam your way through the main quests, basically investigation board, by just going bam, 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 bam. So on the map, and also you can, if you clear the whole province of castles and then send each scout to then at the end of that season bring back those resources, you can get a ton of resources to then upgrade your base real quick. So sorry, long-winded answer there. I hope that I've made that quite clear. Allies, storylines, they help you in the game with specific abilities. Scouts, resources, get them through world quests, you upgrade buildings, they help you bring back resources, you can use them to clear your wanted meter.
There's also something else that you can do with the scouts that I found.
Mate, please tell me.
When you get almost to the end of a season, you have the timer like in the top right of the map. If you're not at the end, you can fast forward the season towards its end.
Oh, nice, dude! I did not know that. That's
in the build. You had to we had 5 scouts, and you had to spend 3 of them to fast forward the season. but
Amazing.
only when you are towards the end. It's not like you are, you know, the master of time and you can fast forward the season anytime you want. It has to get towards the end. If you are quite close to it but not still yet, you can spend the scouts to get to the next
Dude,
season.
that's great.
Which also resets your wanted level.
I also reset scouts as well, which I find really bizarre. So you can just if you're there, you may as well just that's cool. Mate, great to know that as well. But yeah, I think it's a big distinction there, isn't it? But it's really hard for even ourselves going in to really understand actually what is that distinction between scouts and also your allies or spies or whatever they're calling it. You know, it's but hopefully that makes a little bit more sense for those in the chat. Regarding that mechanic. But I think just quickly while we're running through questions.
I think your microphone is...
Osh, are you there, man?
Arsh? Can't hear you.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello, hey, man.
Yeah.
You were saying something?
I actually wanted to ask you guys a question since I have to leave in about 20 minutes or so.
Sure, man.
I think we had a lot of presentations in the studio. I think we talked extensively about the Animus Hub one. But what would you say was your favorite presentation? From there, and because I mean, we had a music presentation, like the music of Assassin's Creed Shadows. We had a historical one. We had the Hideout, the stealth mechanic. Yeah, like, you know. So go ahead. I want to see your opinion about it.
Marco, I've just spoken for England, so you go ahead, man. Sorry.
It's quite an interesting question. I'm thinking of it. Well, I'm like, you know, fan of modern day, so I was interested in the Animus Hub one, but the one that did strike me the most is probably, and I know it's unlikely for me, but it was the gameplay one, because the stealth one with Yasuke in the snow. There was like this, because it was like thinking outside the box. I really enjoyed the historical one. There was a presentation, like the historical one, showing all the various weather states and season states. They mentioned like there's like 19 weather states in the game, which is
it's amazing.
Amazing. But like these, like the presentation by Charbonnois and Simone Mécontois about stealth as Yasuke, and it was in the snow, because like in the build we could not see winter, so it was so cool, and it was in Kyoto, so that was quite amazing. And you could see a snowstorm, like at some point, like Yasuke got at the top of the castle. It was like Nijo Castle. It's an actual historical castle that is in Kyoto. And it was like there was a snowstorm. You could not see anything from the top of the castle. And he did like the viewpoint camera turnaround, and you couldn't see that much. And it, like the devs were, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but they were saying like, hey, we wanted to show you Kyoto, but you can't see anything because there's a snowstorm. But yeah, that was quite amazing, because they did show that you can somehow, when you are, you know, end game or almost end game, sort of like that, you can stealth your way through as Yasuke by using the proper perks to your weapons and your allies. Like your allies can take care of some of the enemies, then you do, you know, brutal your bow with the proper perks, and you can. It's not actually, you know, it's not assassin like stealth. It's more like take out enemies from afar and then finish the remaining out. But it's still doable, and it was quite interesting. It also had a very nice outfit for Yasuke. It was very cool. Like I did enjoy that very much.
Yeah. Nice.
What about you guys?
Ash, were you asking just about like kind of the previews in terms of just trailers, or everything that we kind of sat down and experienced with like, you know, the presentations from each director, or perhaps something that we specifically, you know, experienced in game? Like, is there something specific you're after there, or?
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm asking is like the the presentation itself. Like we had many
Yeah.
presentations. I'm not asking about like the trailers that were shown
Yeah,
and stuff
sure.
like that
Okay.
to the
Gotcha.
to the public because I
Yeah.
I want the people to know like what were in those presentations and what did we find cool cool about them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah. Okay.
you say yours,
Real.
I'll say mine later. Yeah.
Dude, no, I tell you what, I've already spoken quite a bit and I know that you need to go. So I'm more interested to hear what your favorite part is, because I think we all are as well. So you go ahead.
Yeah. So my favorite part was like the historical aspect of the presentation. They gave us a presentation of Sakai um town and Osaka Castle. And if you guys see the world map in there, Sakai Castle is right next to the Osaka Castle.
Mm.
And in there, they started literally from the shores and went all the way to the town. How how the feeling is. There the houses that were researched, like there are apparently like fireproof. There were fireproof apartments in Sakai at that
Mm.
time, which was really good to see. They did say that Sakai was very distinctive um, from like all other towns um, in AC Shadows, and that each town has its own kind of character. Um, the thing that they're known for. So like the town of Sakai is known for trade. So you're gonna see a lot of merchants. You're gonna see
Mm.
a lot of people uh, moving around. Uh, thing, and then when you go to Osaka Castle, you're gonna see Osaka Castle being built. Like the main Tenshu in there is built, and that's where the cinematic trailer was at. But you're also gonna see workers constructing part of its like architecture because Osaka Castle was not fully done being built until around 1588, and the game takes
Mm.
place in 1579. So those like little historical tidbits in there that
Mm.
um, the devs put in was like really a key to me.
Mm. Yeah.
Another another aspect was like another aspect of the presentation was like the music of Assassin's Creed Japan.
Oh
I know
yes.
I'm cheating.
Mm.
I,
Mm.
I know I'm cheating with like two choices over here, but like I've been thinking about those a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just be honest, Ezio's family,
Yeah.
AC Shadows edition, it's not really my favorite Ezio's family, but I see where the devs went. They
Yeah.
they they wanted they wanted to have a different feeling to the music that was both Japanese and like a little bit African inspired as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they wanted to push the bounds with music and experiment differently. I
Mm.
love the soundtrack. I'm excited to see the flight. Um,
Yeah.
just absolutely rock it. I had a plane ride the whole time I was listening to the flight. Horizon Zero Dawn music.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, I just can't wait. Like they're really passionate about um the music that they have made for this game, and it shows
Mm-hmm.
through their eyes. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well said,
Anyway.
mate. Yeah, well said.
You can see all that. Yeah.
And I
But
think
Andy,
we have I think we just have to
you're
say to everybody in the chat, by the way. So when we were watching these trailers in Quebec, right, we're all sat down in the room. We're all pretty excited. They've done the room up really well. The event team have made it feel like, you know, we're actually walking into an Assassin's Creed Shadows presentation. They got the samurai armor set at the back there, which I asked to put on. They said no. They've got a samurai sword. They've got all these weapons, right, and then they've got these wonderful croissants on the table. It's just like, crikey, yeah, here we go, fantastic. We're all sitting down ready to watch this story trailer, and after it finished, you know, everyone was kind of like, wow, that was pretty good. Who was the person here who was at the front in the most enthusiastic it was you, wasn't it? You were just going, yes, oh yeah, now we're talking, everyone, come on, standing ovation. Just like
fanboy. I'm such a fanboy.
It was just like, yeah, let's watch it again. Everyone else is just like, you know, oh yeah, that's decent, and you're just like, get in, come on, let's have some more. play it again. Play it again, Jonathan. No, I was just saying, mate. I gotta say, love the passion, mate. It's bloody brilliant, and you know, big fan of that. So yeah, well said, dude. There's a lot of things like that which I'm very much looking forward to as well. The music, in particular, is great. So I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the chat who may agree. I don't know what it is about Assassin's Creed trailers or just the music in itself. It's just absolutely banging. I've got a lot of time for it. Game. It is. Yeah, every game is just something to look forward to. You know, which I admittedly like listen to, like yourself, Arsh, outside of kind of like gaming and whatnot. So I think that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Why it's got such an important fan base, because yeah, the music's always banging. It's always good. Yeah. But yeah, I'm conscious of your time, Arsh, so I don't want to spend the next 15 minutes chewing both of your ears off here, saying what I kind of like about it and stuff. So all good. And I know there's quite a few questions in the chat, Marco. I don't know if you want to fly through some.
I mean, there was one more topic that I wanted to like discuss. Like, I don't know, like, Arshak, do you still have time for that, or are you like dashing?
Yeah. I have like 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Marco, by the way, I'm happy to stay on as long as you and Sary are happy to. Yeah, so I can stay here, mate. I can stay if you need me. But anyway,
yeah. Okay. No, because like this topic that I wanted to discuss, like, because it was discussed a few times in the chat, it was like the length of the seasons, and I remember talking about it with you, Andy, and my feeling was like super different from what you told me. So like you did mention like my feeling like as like while playing, like you did mention like a regular season, like you were told that it's like 40 minutes. Yeah, right.
I've heard like a lot of misinformation online about this.
Yeah,
I really have. Like you know, some people are saying it's you know, several hours long or whatnot. Yeah. So I don't know what's been kind of relayed to everyone. Like maybe we're all wrong, or they haven't actually finalized that, or whatever they've done, you know, internally. Like, but I can confidently tell you what I was told, because I did remember spending a good 20 minutes, you know, speaking to multiple developers about the specific season mechanics. So I can tell you which all lined up. So there are 3 of them I asked, and they all said the same thing. Basically, seasons, how this works is it's on a 40-minute timer in game. Each segment, when you guys, if you're watching the trailer now, or perhaps when Sary, when we play through or see the game play through, or we see on the map, we can zoom in. There is 8 segments on that kind of season in the top right hand corner.
Let me see if we can.
Oh, there we go. So I think we just had it actually. If you want to.
Okay.
But what you know, while you rummage around for that, there's 8 segments on the maps, and each one of those segments it equates to 5 minutes of game time.
Really?
Yeah. So if my maths is correct, that's correct. Yeah, it's 8 segments around the clock on the season on the main map, which equates to 40 minutes. Now, that doesn't mean that I think I saw 6 keys actually saying, you know, it takes me a couple hours or whatnot to get around and stealth around a camp, and like, you know, absolutely the same, especially if you want to do it properly and enjoy it and take your time. So what it means is that you're not going to be progressing through a mission or a hideout or whatever, and then suddenly, bam, you know, the season's going to change. What it means, or how it works, is that when you get to a cutscene, so a cutscene in the main quest of some kind, then the seasons will then change. And when you will see the seasons change, it's a bit like Hogwarts Legacy, if any of you have played that game. And when you progress through the main story, you'll see it change from winter to summer and vice versa. So you can perpetually stay in, let's say, winter, if you don't go and engage with the main story or you don't go into any major cutscenes, you will stay there. But you can also manually change it yourself as well. So when you get to that 40 minutes, when it's filled up, on the main menu, you can then press the D-pad button which says change season.
Yeah.
So if you say, like, you go, right, well, I've been here for 3 hours now. I've run around the whole map. I've cleared all of the hideouts. I've set all of my scouts to collect resources at, multiple bandit camps, whatnot. I'm ready to change the season now, but I don't want to progress with the main quest. Fine. You go into the main menu, you press the D-pad right button, cutscene of a season change, boom, you're into the next season. Whole map, all bandit camps, everything refreshes. Well, that's how it works.
I think I asked my demoist, and I think they told me that in when you are fast traveling and when you are in cutscenes, it actually fast tracks the meter. Maybe
I didn't hear that.
Maybe I got it wrong. And basically, I did see through my gameplay footage that we started the build where the spring meter was at its half, and then I through cutscenes and the main quest and whatever, I got to the end of it after 2 hours. So my my calculations was the actual opposite. If half of a meter I had to fill in 2 hours, then a season is 4 hours.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It was actually the opposite. You're saying that when you are in cutscenes, it stops, the timer stops.
Well, this
is the
cutscene. Yes. Oh, there you go. So this cutscene. This is the changing of a season. This is what would happen there. Do we? Where have you got that footage, mate? Is that your in-game footage there?
This is in. Is this in-game? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But this was at the start of the build. Yeah.
So can you go back to just before that cutscene appeared?
I don't think so, because this is actually the start
at
of
the
build
start
for the. But we can go in video 2. We can try and go in.
Yeah, 6 keys. I know what. Okay, 6 keys. Just for everyone in the chat, she said, yeah, scouts can even fast forward seasons somewhat. Yeah, and that's what you said, Marco, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can use the scouts to fast forward.
Yeah,
but
it's
also
when you use the D-pad.
The more that I spoke to the devs about this, the more I kind of realized, well, there's potential to kind of cheese the game here. And what I mean by that is that if you get a lot of scouts, you can end up pretty much just getting all the resources, sending them out, and then having the seasons change, which resets your scouts, which you can then use to smash through the main quest investigations, to then come back to the hideout where you can also replenish your scouts to max, to then use the investigation panel again on your scouts so you can really fly through the main quest on the map as well, locating all the specific clues and stuff without actually going there to figure it out if you want to, if you get a good handle on this scout mechanic and how it works and the refresh rates and whatnot. So Nika says, can we only reset scouts with seasons? No, you can actually go back into your hideout. There's a bag in a building which says reset scouts. I believe you can also pay money in-game gold, which I believe is called Mon, to then refresh your scouts as well. So if you've got a lot of money, you can just refresh your scouts and then spam that as well, is my understanding. So I really do feel like getting a lot of scouts early on in the game is going to just really become a bit overpowered.
This is the screen right before.
Okay, hold on. Let me just try and I'm going to move on to my main screen so I can just have a look here.
Okay.
Yeah, so there we go. So let me just turn my monitor aside just so I can have a quick look. Yeah, great. Thanks for pausing this here. So, sorry, go ahead, Ash.
I like the feature that you can also fast travel with Naui or Yasuo.
Oh yeah, no, that's quite cool. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of.
Yeah, you can actually switch. It's another way to switch characters. I tried that, so you can, and that's how you can then. Yeah, that's how you can get then Yasuke to do the leap of faith, which is not a leap of faith. It's something else. Okay. So this screen here that we're looking at, top right-hand corner. So for everyone if you're listening to the chat now, I would really encourage you just to look at the screen so you can get a good handle on what this season mechanic is, or certainly what was relayed to me. So you'll see in the top right-hand corner, you've got north, east, south, west. We've got the compass there. That now means, if I just count, how many segments? I think there's 8.
Yeah, it should be 8.
Yeah, 8. Yeah, 8, 5 minutes each segment, 40 minutes for a full 360 compass fill up season change. So what this now means is if you look at below that, we've got salvage and the scouts. I'll get to that in a second. But what's the most important thing here is the season change. So this now allows you to manually change the season in game, but you don't have to if you don't want to. However, the game will force a season change, and you'll get that cutscene from winter to spring or autumn or summer, whatever, and that will then allow the game to then populate the new season. So if you're going from something from autumn to winter, then obviously that's going to allow the game a little bit of a time there to get all the assets in to make it winter, which basically means crops there that were there are no longer there.
Okay.
I actually think Six Keys said in the chat earlier, it might not have been her, it might be someone else, but also said about, will the different season changes affect the NPCs in their behavior? Yes, they will. So, for example, in winter, or if it's absolutely slamming it down with rain, then the guards will then go and stand underneath buildings, or their patrol routes will be somewhat different to what they were in summer. So there'll be a lot of change there. Now, with this season, you can then stay there and you can grind out everything in this particular, was it Harima we're in? This province. You can go and smash out all of the hideouts, all of the castles, and that's when you can then send one of your scouts at the top right-hand corner. It's called salvage. So they're obviously right now salvaging resources from somewhere. Another one would be smuggling as well. So you'd have another one which says smuggling certain resources, which then take you back to your main hideout, which allows you to then purchase stuff. But you'll only get that at the end of the season. So if you were to manually refresh that season, which is what we're seeing now, then what would happen is that those scouts would then be reloaded back into your scout menu, and that salvage menu there would be gone. The compass would not be filled. You'd have to wait 40 minutes of in-game time until it's filled, until we get to the new season. But it doesn't mean that 40 minutes and it's up. It just means 40 minutes of game time.
And
but you could spend but you could spend 5 or 6 hours in that season if you wanted to. You just have to avoid main storyline cutscenes. You and not just speaking to a trader or a vendor of any kind.
So maybe I got it wrong in that maybe I kept playing while the meter was at its end, and then I hit a fast travel, and then
and that would do it. That would do it. Yeah, so that's what's happened. So fast travel,
all right.
Or when I say cutscene, what I was told is something which causes the game to load to show that cutscene, or a synchronization point would do that, because in theory what they're trying to say here is, okay, you've traveled from one end of the map to the other, and that's incorporated a season change. So that's what you can see. So that's, I know everyone online is saying something different, but that's what I
now that makes sense.
I was told. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, what were you saying, Osh? Can't hear you, mate.
I do also want to say that there are like 10 different seasons in this game, and what I mean by that is each season has two kind of settings to it. So like you're not always gonna get the same kind of like feel to it, but like there's gonna be a particular icon in your world map that's gonna tell you, hey, it's spring, hey, it's summer. So it's not going to be the same kind of atmosphere all the time, which is good to hear. Gentlemen, I do have to get going, but you guys, talking.
It was so cool
a good
to have
time.
you on, though. Like it was so
man.
cool to have you in the stream.
Yeah,
it was amazing. Chat.
Assassins. Just to let you know, I think I actually traveled today from Los Angeles to New York. So
crazy.
So I'm gonna be going to some Assassin's Creed 3 landmarks,
Ooh.
and
Oh.
and see some landmarks, some AC
Wow.
landmarks.
Mm. Nice,
Pun
dude.
intended.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
But
mate.
with that, thanks for having me.
No,
It
dude.
was great to
Thanks.
have you. It was so good, so cool. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining
mate.
us.
Mate, we'll do it again soon, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great,
definitely.
great
We
to
can
chat
try that
again.
again.
And oh, by the way, top work on traveling all day today and getting on the
Yeah,
stream and
yeah.
talking.
Thanks so
That's a
much.
lot of work. That's a lot of effort. So thanks very much, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you
Oh,
so much,
always
Archer.
serving the creed. Alrighty.
Nice. See you later,
If
dude.
I disconnect, everything will be fine, right?
Yeah, sure. Or everything is gonna
Okay.
crash. Who knows, really?
Well, who knows? We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll see.
Alrighty. Well,
I
here
mean,
we go.
it's
Bye
gonna be
bye.
Sary's fault.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
See you later, man. I'll
Bye,
see you
man.
later, dude. Marco, I'm happy to stay on with you guys
Sure, sure.
and talk some more AC. Whenever you guys want to pop offline, that's cool by me, but
That's
I'm having a great time. So I'm happy to chinwag away
Yeah.
for as long as you guys want to be honest, and everyone in the
Yeah.
chat wants to stick around.
Exactly. Like I wanted to go a little bit more. Like if you
Yeah.
have some spare time, because there's so many other questions in the chat.
You go ahead, Matt. I'll tell you what, I'll quickly pop to the loo and then you can
take your time.
grab some.
Take your time.
Take my I'll be right back. I'll
Not
be
so
right
much
back.
time. So what I like? Can we go? I hope it doesn't get lost in those underground city tunnels. Exactly. Right. Okay. I'm happy that we were able to clarify a little bit more about the seasons changes, because I really felt, and I did mention it in the preview as well. I felt like it was like 4 hours, but then again, not really. From Leo K, you mentioned sound is more prominent on higher district. Atlas was asking, is the hideout located on the map like Ravensthorpe, or is it only accessible via fast travel? No, it's in the map. I think we have it somewhere, not sure, but it's not in Harima. That's why we had to play a different build, because we could not access it directly from where we were playing the main quest. It's in Setsu, if I recall correctly, which is something like at the center of the map, or sort of center of the map, which would make sense. And you can reach the hideout, manually, like walking or riding your horse, or you can fast travel there. I mean, you could use the word seamless to describe how you can access it. So yeah, basically, you can reach the hideout. It's in the world, and it's part of the world, even though it's like your safety area where I mean, unless it happens like in Valhalla that you get attacked, and it might happen in the story, but apart from that, that's where like you're slowing down. And I think I saw some question before about how many buildings or like unique buildings you can have. I wouldn't say countless, but they're more than 10 for sure, because like all these buildings, I mean, maybe you have a more precise number.
There's
It's like 10 to 20 more. I don't know.
Sure. So I think I need to bring up a menu because I definitely had it, but upon reflection, I think there's when you go into the main building. Hopefully, we're going to see it right now in your gameplay. To be fair,
Yeah.
I believe there's 6. There's only I'll put my hand 6. There's Christ, oh dear. There is 6 main buildings that actually contribute to something meaningful in game. Can we pause it? Sorry, can we pause it? Oh no, wait. Can we go back one?
Is that too much?
Oh no. Okay, but basically, I think it's 6. So those ones are your main bread and butter, is my understanding. Yeah, 6. Wait. Yeah. So you see themed rooms.
I think we.
Can we go back?
This one.
3 seconds.
Oh.
Wait. You've got it. It's just I'm looking at the live feed, which is a couple seconds behind. Okay. You got it. Nice one. Yeah. So basically here, those 3. Goodness me. Those 6 at the top. 2 lines of 3. Those are the main buildings. The main buildings. So yeah, I think we've got a dojo that's going to increase or upgrade your allies, so you can get them from level 1 to level 3, and then you can also customize their outfits there. You've also got a study. Now that increases the amount of scouts on your map. I think you can get 3 recruited by just upgrading that to level 3. You've also got the forge, which is a way that you can increase your armor and your weapons and upgrade them. But when I spoke to the game director, Charles Benoit, there is a less emphasis in this game on gear and compared to Valhalla, where you really need a decent weapons or upgrade your gear to then perform well. This is more of a kind of skill-based game where, in theory, you could put a lot of mastery points, so skill points, into assassination, for example, as now way, and you could be level 14, but you could go into a level 35 area and you could assassinate a big enemy there because you've upgraded specific skills to be able to do that, but you'll get one-shotted if you get hit, for example. So there is a less emphasis on gear in this game, but you can still upgrade your gear and weapons there. We've also got a
and you can also
stables
do the engravings in there, like
engravings.
If you get to level 3, right. You can add like. I do agree. Like I was told, like very much the same. Like the game is more like skill based than progression based. But then at the same time, to counter that, some of the like bigger engravings, like the legendary engravings, they do change gameplay quite a bit. Yeah, and I did. I'm not sure where it is in the gameplay. Like with my demos, we did upgrade the forge to level 3, and I could see the sheer number of engravings. There, like they did tell me there's 200 types of engravings.
Outrageous amount.
Yeah, and you can like most of them you have to unlock through specific conditions. Like you have to go to that region and kill that bad guy or do the main quest, etc., etc., etc. It gives you hints. It is skill based, but you can customize your weapons quite a bit to fit your playstyle.
Spot on. I totally forgot about those, man. And like that's
too much. It's too much stuff, dude.
Too much stuff. And then we've also got the stables as well, I believe, which I actually think is, from what I've seen, pretty meaningless. I think there was a minor scout upgrade for that, but also you can get different horses and change your saddle as well. I believe,
you can change the saddle. Yeah, I saw
that. For sure. And then you've got your main base, which is the equivalent of a longhouse in Valhalla, and the settlement then goes up to level 9. Now, in this settlement, you can actually see the progression system when I think it's like a certain LB button or what have you, where you can then see all of the upgrades or what they equate to and whatnot. So next level, it says scout. There you go, top left part of the screen. It says scout smuggle 20% more resources in stockpiles. So for the next level, that's actually going to be beneficial if you're on a bit of a hideout grind and you want to get to that level, because you're going to get 20% more stuff when you are grinding out your resources. And I do feel here it is going to be a bloated grind with this hideout. I love the mechanics here, but I do have a real concern, because when we both played Marco, we had unlimited resources, didn't we? We could buy everything and anything.
You can see in the top right of the screen, there's it was unlimited resources, because I'm sure the devs wanted us to showcase some of the features in there. Because otherwise, I do feel like it would have been quite complicated to get those buildings to their top tier level in order to showcase the features. You can see why they allowed us to have like all those resources.
I mean, I really do like it a lot. I think this is like a great addition to the game. It's going to be fun, and you can really customize it and choose where you want to go and what you want to do. And I hope that they do continue to update it and give us some like new iterations of what we can and can't do here. In actual fact, I know it hasn't been announced. I did ask about co-op and stuff, but I do feel that this would be the perfect place if co-op does enter this game in the future, because we do have multiplayer next year. Whether that's going to be included in here, Invictus, who knows? But co-op wise here, I could definitely see us kind of, porting into each other's hideout and hanging out.
Oh, that would be good.
And maybe there'll be some cool activities that they do and had in here that we can do together. I think this is the perfect place for that to happen. But at this stage, I do feel from what we've seen, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a grind to unlock all of this. The max settlement level, when I asked, was level 9. In actual fact, with all of the resources available, which, as we've just spoken about, was unlimited, when I tried to get the settlement to level 9 by pretty much putting buildings everywhere as much as I could, I still couldn't get there. And then I asked Akim, associate director, I said, hey man, why can't I'm only 25% off this level? Why can't I, get to a max level, 9 in the settlement? And, he wouldn't tell me. So I foresee, to get to that max level, there's got to be something in the story or something we have to do to get that final bit. But on the final point there with the buildings, there's these other things called themed rooms, which are lower down, and they offer passive upgrades to gameplay mechanics that also slightly level up your settlement bar. Some of them don't. And you'll notice that through the diamonds that are put on the thumbnails on the buildings there. If it's got a diamond on it or whatnot, I think it's a diamond, then that will increase the level. That's right. Other buildings won't do anything. They're there, cosmetic or whatnot. So you can see on there, when you're looking at the screen, if you do see a diamond in the corner on those buildings, it's going to give you something. It's going to give you a half decent passive upgrade for something specific in game in terms of gameplay, and it's also going to level you up your settlement. And if you decide to get rid of that building, you will get the resources back as well. So it's not like, I've accidentally built this building, I don't want it anymore, it's useless. Well, you can delete it, get the resources back, build it somewhere else or not, So that's a good system as well, because I do feel it would be pretty egregious to, punish us, the gamers, the players, to be, perhaps make the mistake of dropping a building. But what do you think of this, Marco, more importantly? What's your thoughts on all this?
I did enjoy the system in that, like, it's a nice evolution from the settlement in Valhalla. It's nice to see that you can customize this however you want. It's nice that you can make it like your personal home. Like you can build it the way you want. You can merge buildings as well. And you can place. It's not only about. It's also about the negative space. Like you can both build and remove trees in order to make space for your buildings, and in that way you can create like a proper settlement, if you will. So there's a lot of positives to that. You can, as you can see, you can place a lot of like animals that you are meeting in the world, and then you can place them. It's quite nice. And also I think it was Assassin's M on Twitter mentioning thinking outside the box and thinking you might create your own parkour route with the buildings.
Oh, what a great idea!
That's crazy.
What a great idea!
And that's amazing. I'm not
that's
like
a good idea.
It's a nice, like, interesting idea in there, like thinking outside the box. But there's also the other side of things with the monetization and microtransaction. I can definitely see, as it was for Valhalla, and in this case even more. I can definitely see, and some leaks are already have shared stuff in that direction. A lot of settlement and hideout. Cosmetics that you can Ubisoft is going to try to monetize on. I can say that. But in general, I think it's it's a nice evolution on Valhalla. I can see like missions starting from here, and it's also like something that Valhalla did not have is the safe houses around the world that are basically a smaller version of most of the functionalities that you have at the hideout, so you don't have to travel back here like it was in Valhalla. So if you want to take on like more contracts, or you want to refill your scouts or whatever, like most of the functionalities that you do have at the hideout, you can have at the safe houses or kakuregas, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that is cool, having those kind of assassin bureaus dotted around the different provinces as well.
Definitely.
I think that is an interesting mechanic.
There's a question by Masarikate. They're asking, will any of the animals from the Sumie paintings appear in the settlement? I think they won't. But when you complete a Sumie painting, which was like, you can get a wall decoration for the hideout, but it wasn't in the build. Like, it was in one of the gameplay snippets, I think, from weeks ago. So you get the painting both in your codex page, which also was not in the build. So you can see, guys, in the chat, like, there a lot of features were cut from the build intentionally. Oh, here you can see. Can we go back maybe? Like, when you were before, while you were out, like, somebody in the chat asked like where the settlement is in the map. It was like right before that. It's like in
middle
Setsu.
down to the right-ish.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I. It's okay. Like, we missed it, but it's fine. But yeah, I'm not too sure how you can get the animals to place in the settlement. Like, do you just meet them in the world?
Yeah, so I do think it is partly through the paintings. Was it Sumie? Yeah, I think that's what I was told, but I'm not 100% confident on that because I didn't experience that in the build. But when it was a kind of passing comment when I was going through the kind of pet menu, but my understanding it is that when you are doing the calligraphy of the animals that you find out in the world, they essentially then become unlocked. In actual fact, May, I have just remembered one of those presentations when Jonathan was like, oh yeah, I really like the doe. And then you'll find the doe. Yeah, and then you go out and find the doe in the wild and you paint it, and then it comes into your settlement. I actually remember him saying that. So I do think that is confirmation there. I'm about 80-90% sure. But I do feel like there's also birds, I think, is another one I remember writing down, and you come across them in the wild. And as you said, we got that cutscene not too long ago, and I think it is a bit more of a kind of, because there's no hunting in this game.
Yeah,
I think you can scare them off if you run up to them, but my understanding is you've kind of got to creep or slowly approach them.
Exactly.
And
you have to be
because
stealthy,
noise does play a role in this game. I'm not sure who asked it in the chat earlier on, but noise is a big factor, and I think that is affected with animals as well. So you have to creep up on them, engage with it, and then you're able to sit down and in peace, in that serenity moment, then capture or paint them, which then allows you to put them as a painting on the wall, or also paint them or to unlock them in the hideout. So that's what I remember, even though it wasn't directly shown to us. That's what I was kind of.
But that makes sense. I guess that it's not all the animals, because I think I might have asked my demoist, and the animals that you can find in like in lakes or something like that. I'm not even sure you can place like bodies of water in the hideout. I don't think you can, or at least it wasn't.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
So the animals that you like, the fish, like I wanted my koi carps in the hideout.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick, actually. That's a really good point. Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah, sadly, it's not gonna be there, but
maybe we can get that in the future. We can really kind of properly customize our garden, because it's a pretty sacred thing, isn't it, in Japan?
Yeah, definitely.
The garden.
Definitely.
So maybe we'll get more customization on that in the future.
I guess so. Like, I hope so. And like something else that was asked in the chat earlier. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the name of who asked it. Like, there was a question, something like, do you expect more buildings or more building types to be added in the future? And I would say definitely yes. Like, they did
100%. Yeah,
they did with Valhalla. When it was a fixed settlement, I definitely can see that happening in post launch.
That's a really good point, actually. It's a really good question, because I think that then would come back to the co-op thing, if they do the co-op thing. Because if they do, then I reckon for that then to be accessible, you'd have to create a co-op building, like the raiding, building back in Valhalla, to be able to go raiding. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have to then build some sort of building like that, which then opens up a new quest line to then also allow us to do something different in game, because this hideout is there not just so we can drop all of our pets in there and make buildings and make it look nice. It all goes back into the gameplay loop. That was their intention.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it all has a gameplay impact. So I think that definitely we'll see the expansion of those, like, I think it's the green barriers, like the Sims, where you can only build within this space. But then I foresee, I think more buildings, as you say as well, Marco, like definitely for sure. It's a no-brainer. I really want to get your thoughts, man, because we haven't really talked about much about parkour. We haven't talked much about stealth.
Right.
We
just went with the flow.
That's why it's so fun, But also, I would love to get your take on either one of those to start, man. What did you think of it? What did Sary think of it? Go on, hit us with some opinions.
Okay, stealth. Let's go with stealth. I'm quite surprised to see some, like recently, some of the outlets mentioning stealth. Yeah, it's revamped, but I am not seeing so much difference. Honestly, to me, it does feel like something that I put that I mentioned in my preview. It does feel. It does feel like it changes your approach, especially once you get the hang of using darkness as your ally and as your hiding spot. Because what I felt is when I after playing these games for 15, 16, 17 years, your stealth approach, for each of us it's different, but you tend to apply the same. Or at least for me, after playing the AC games, I tend to apply the same approach. It's basically, scout from the top, see where the enemies are, and then find stalking zones or doing, air assassinations, whatever. And then slowly but surely you clean up the fort or whatever it is. Which I was actually quite happy to do, in this exact location. I got spotted a few times, but still, it was nice to experiment with all the assassinations. And what I felt like at first is I was applying my approach, and then that meant not using the darkness. Because I was I'm just gonna go and do the air assassinations and then go in the stalking zones like the bushes, and you can crouch and you can go prone as well, for small bushes, etc., etc. And then it was only towards the end of the prologue, that I remember, hey, I can use darkness, right?
Exactly.
And it was quite game changing, not necessarily in terms of, not only in terms of gameplay, because the stealth loop is gameplay wise, you have your tools, you have your assassination damage and whatnot. You can do your assassinations like this one, the Shojido. Amazing.
Love
it. But it's more in terms of your approach, it's more about your strategy rather than necessarily tactics. It's it's how you plan. If you are really into stealth, it's really about how you're planning to face the various enemies and assassinate them without being spotted, and using darkness and extinguishing the lights or destroying them. It really changes a lot, and I did feel that especially in the black box mission in the main quest, because obviously it fast tracks to to nighttime, and you have an infiltration part with Naoi if you choose to play as her. And I really enjoyed that, because you can use your tools and use the darkness, hide, not get spotted. I really enjoyed that. Because it changes your approach, not necessarily because of what you can do, but it can merge with the gameplay that you have at your disposal and the design. Because then we're going to talk about parkour, but the design of the stealth dedicated locations like this one, it allows you to sneak around also. You can I'm not sure if this was also taken from Ghost of Tsushima, but you can also sneak underneath buildings, and that means also not being spotted, or if you're being chased, you can sneak underneath buildings and restart the loop, which is quite amazing. Like the design of the buildings, I think in this game, like for stealth is much better than the design of building for parkour. But not because the devs did not do a good job, but it's more like historical reasons. Like the buildings in Japan, they were flat, apart from the huge palaces. So most of the towns, they were like basically flat, and then there were like the huge palaces and temples. So
that's it, isn't it? Because I think when it does come to parkour, like, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, Marco. I think because you're only really going to be doing what we're doing now, stealthing around, parkouring around in certain places in the game, which actually allow for it. Because a lot of the other, the rest of the open world is pretty open. But then I found myself, well, okay, if in that case, I'll jump in and use Yasuke to explore the open world, since I've been running around and parkouring and stealthing and assassinating as Naue. But then he's just so slow. Like, even out in the world to run around and explore it, it's actually really time consuming, which I found myself then just not even kind of, what am I going to be switching to him for, to be honest with you, because now I can pretty much do everything. But
that's also something we can discuss later.
Of course. I don't want to get sidetracked here, but for your point, what you're saying there about the darkness, the light and the shadows, and how that has actually become a mechanic in this game, it ingrained in this stealth loop. I love it. I think it's great. Honestly, I'm such a big fan. I think I remember saying to you after the playtest in Quebec, after we got out for the day, I was like, well, that was one of the few times when you're playing a game and when you're just so immersed in it, but you go, oh, that was cool. Like, it's an own personal moment, but you're like, this is really enjoyable. This was sick.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually really cool. This is why I play video games, because this mechanic it slaps. It's so good. And just to quickly kind of like tell my experience there with the stealth is, the same black box mission, and I'm trying to run away. I'm trying to hide. I've obviously been spotted, and throughout the hours before that, I hadn't actually gone into darkness. I hadn't played in darkness, so it hadn't really crossed my mind that, the shadows would be such an important impact in game. And it really is. It really is. The light just cuts across the screen. The moonlight shines down through the courtyard, and you then have to really train your brain to understand that this is essentially, it could be, for all intents and purposes, like a big barrier in the game that you have to scale over, metaphorically speaking, because you're going to have to now think about what that light will do for you in your position in stealth.
Exactly.
Because it's going to show you to the guards. But the caveat to that is the fact that you can now stand in a big, massive courtyard where there's no moonlight for that evening, and you can be completely invisible.
Exactly.
And that is really also kind of game changing, because throughout all of the Assassin's Creeds, your brain over the decades has been trained to be like, well, I have to be out of line of sight. I have to be around the corner. I have to be behind an object.
Exactly.
And if you're in the middle of a courtyard now, your brain's kind of like, well,
they're going to spot me.
You're kind of glitching out. You're like, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah,
this doesn't make any sense, from an Assassin's Creed player. So that's what I really liked, because it actually got me immersed enough, engaged enough to use my brain to be like, wow, okay, this is now opening up a new level of the game, because you could play that same mission. You could be partaking in this castle or small event, or on a small side contract mission. It could be in daylight, and you won't have to think about that. You're just going to have to focus on line of sight, as you were doing in the previous games. But if it is at nighttime, well, then you've got something else to play with.
Exactly.
There.
True.
And that's why I really enjoyed the new stealth mechanics. As you say, Marco, is there anything game-changing in from what we've seen perhaps in other games when it comes to stealth? Well, I would argue that it flows a lot better. I think the stealth detection is a little bit good. But if it wasn't for the light or shadows, then, you'd just be like, yeah, it's better. It reacts better.
Yeah.
NPCs react better. But it's nothing that you haven't not come to expect on well-polished, perhaps, AC stealth games. But I think that with this new shadow system and this new season system, it just and going prone. Oh my god!
Exactly.
Like these are small things, I just can't believe that it's not been done before because
Exactly.
it seems so obvious. It seems so obvious, but I appreciate the technical the challenge, to make it happen. But that flip coming out of the
that's so cool. Yeah,
that was pretty sick. I mean, it's just those other flourishes, isn't it, in game, that make it just feel like, oh, that was sick. Like just you and I there, just looking at that, going, oh, that was pretty cool.
It's true. Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. I wasn't, and then you pretend like you were intending to do that when you're like, oh yeah, no, that's all me.
Yeah, that's
Let me do it. Let me flip out of the well, So I think it makes you feel like a cool assassin, doesn't it? And it all flows well together. And what I also liked, sorry, I'll be talking a bit here, man, but I this is one of the standout highlights for me. And it's the other things like just leaning against a wall round the corner that automatically happens as well. Quite fluidly. It's not. I don't feel like it's jagged or stuttery. And another massive highlight for me, some of you may have seen it in the initial gameplay trailer where we see Naue pretty much like use the grapple to get up onto the into the inside of the building, onto the roof, to then allow a patrolling guard to kind of walk through.
Yeah.
I did this.
Did you?
Multiple times. Yeah, it's so cool because to use the grapple, I'm not sure if you've given it a go, but you just press LB, a kind of L1 at the edge of buildings to kind of grapple up.
Yeah.
Well, next time you play, man, run into the building and just use the grapple, because it's like if you played any of the Spider-Man games, it's pretty much like Peter Parker just like going pretty much up to the ceiling and then just kind of staying on the ceiling. Naue does the same thing. But you can do it anywhere inside.
I was wondering about that because like in the trailer, it felt like it was like a special kind of roof that you could do that only in specific rooms or something like that. Did you feel like you could do that like in any room?
Well, I didn't ask, to be fair, but when I've tried it in, I think it was about 3 buildings that I did try it in, it all seemed to work. So I just took it. I may have been very lucky, or I've just gone in, the same kind of building 3 times over. But when I have done it purposefully, you've been able to do that, which has been really great. And then you can throwing knives while you're up there as well, which was pretty sick. So I really enjoyed that aspect. And you also mentioned, Marco, as well, crawling under buildings. Crawling under these buildings which were like built on the stilts, and then going through a trap door to assassinate an enemy or finding a new way in. It sounds really simple, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I actually crept through into one of those missions. Went into the reeds, crawled under the building, which was guarded by loads of NPCs and guards. Went up through a small trapdoor inside the building, opened the shoji doors, assassinated a guard who was guarding the quest giver, and then snuck out the same way under the trapdoor, crawled out through. And I was just like, yeah, man, that's pretty sick. I'm a big fan of that because there's just loads of options that you can do. Equally, I could have just grappled, swung in, landed on the top of the building and gone in, on the roof, or I could have assassinated everybody guarding that. I could have gone a Yasuke and just charged it. There's options there, which is what I like.
Exactly. Same.
And it all flows well together.
And something else that I felt like it was, especially in the prologue, there was like a fort that you could do stealth in. And I felt like I didn't necessarily have to eliminates all the guards, and it felt like that you also get that option like you do in every game, but it felt like it really enhanced the tension now that you can use darkness as your friend, as your ally. Also like not necessarily assassinating everybody, especially because at the start you are under level and whatnot. So it really felt like it added to the tension getting to your objective, finding the stuff that you have to find there before getting to your target and whatnot. And it really was cool, even just trying not necessarily the non-lethal approach, but not having to necessarily like kill them all, and like just go in for what you need, and then get out quickly. That feeling was quite amazing, and crawling under buildings is a nice tool for that as well. Like just
I agree,
and get out.
Mate, I just want to say
we're having like a Yasuke stealth session here. Like Sary was attempting this. Yeah,
No, it's
sorry,
cool.
I interrupted you. Like,
no, I
you
just
were
want to say
saying?
six keys is off. So I just want to say thanks for
Thank you,
stopping by.
Keys.
Yeah, great to see you.
Amazing questions, by the way.
Yeah, really great questions. Very good questions. Yeah, I mean, on the back of that as well, we've talked about some really positive stuff about stealth. Do you have any kind of negative
about stealth
opinions,
or
or thoughts or things that perhaps you didn't like about it, or stealth or assassinations or anything?
Let me think.
It could be Yasuke, it could be Naoe. I mean, while you're thinking, I could jump off a few.
Sure.
Unless you've got something to mind.
Go on.
Sure. So one thing that I didn't like, and this was actually made aware by a great question from Jackson JV when we were in the same presentation. And that was when, I think it was Simon, who, I can't remember his last name, but he was one of the directors, developers for Stealth specifically. And then I believe it was Charles Benoit, the game director as well, who was playing. So for those of you, just to kind of paint a brief picture, we all sat in this pretty small room and the game director was sat behind us. He was playing the game. And then Simon, the director of Stealth, he was pretty much walking us through a live demo and talking to us and proactively answering some of the questions we had with the live playthrough. There was only about a dozen or so of us in this room. It was pretty cool. Now, one of the great questions that JV asked was regarding bodies. So when you assassinate an enemy and, there's a body on the ground, well, yeah, you can go and pick that body up and you can go and, of course, put it in a haystack, put it in, hide it somewhere. And, JV said, look, do they then detect the blood because there's blood on the floor? And the answer was no, unfortunately. Yeah, which is not ideal. But then I thought that was a great question, and that got me thinking. Question. Yeah, I got me thinking as well. Oh, okay, so if they don't detect the blood, do they then actually detect the bodies? And it's like, well, they do, but there's a caveat to it as well. Oh, no. So when enemy NPCs or patrolling NPCs find a body that's been hidden in the hideout or in a specific area, they don't immediately go and raise the alarm, which I found a little bit jarring. In actual fact, they will only raise the alarm in that camp until they find you. They have to find you. So, all right. And they won't return to their kind of like patrol route. Okay. For me, I think that's, I wouldn't say disappointing, but I would have, realistically, okay, right, it's a game. Don't get me wrong. Come on, look. But if you're going to, let's say you're this guard, okay, hypothetically, and you're walking around patrolling the base and you see a few of your mates on the ground who've obviously been assassinated, you're not going to go, I'm not going to raise the alarm until I find someone who's done this. Like, I'm not going to go and tell the whole camp about this. No. Well, of course you are, and that's what I can understand from their point of view when I reflect on it, is that, well, they don't want the alarm to be raised, so you have to feel like it's a chore every time to hide the bodies. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. But at least if it was on a harder difficulty, I would like the option where you do have to hide those bodies, because otherwise you're going to get detected and the alarm's going to go off. So that's one of the things that I think is mid. Like, I would prefer that if you are going to be stealthing around as a ninja with all this other cool realism and stuff and immersion, then, well, yeah, leaving bodies just in the daylight or out in the open, I think that should trigger an alarm. Personally.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. By the way, what is not the first, but the second thing I did in, because we were talking about lifting bodies and hiding them, in the prologue. First one is like when you start as Yasuke, you test basic attacks, etc. Second thing was like, okay, I have a body. I eliminated my first guard, and first thing he did was behead him. Like he decapitated him first right away, and then I instinctively I got the body up to hide it, even if it's a wartime, so you don't have to hide it. Yeah. And I think it was the first time in AC where I lifted a body on my shoulders and it was beheaded, and it was what it was so weird to see hiding a beheaded body. It was so weird, but yeah, I don't think the other games could do that.
No, true. But then I also asked about the rolling head as well? Will they detect a rolling head? And they won't, unfortunately.
No.
It's the same. It falls within the blood kind of category.
Ah.
They won't detect that, which is a shame.
So
Because you
sad.
could like Mark, you could go and hide this body, and you're like, yeah, my work here is done.
While the head is on the road.
It's like, yeah, the head's on the road. That's fine though. So there could be an immense amount of blood on the road as well, you know. But
that's fine.
The guards are like, oh, this is okay. This is fine.
okay.
Everything's normal. Yeah, let's not raise the alarm. I mean, okay, look, we could go in and we could talk about like these specific details and say, oh, this should be in the game, and you know, it's a game at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, sure.
And those animations are quite specific, aren't they? In the sense that you may not behead someone at that point specifically in the game. So I understand that that's a lot of work to do. But
definitely, it was just
yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
yeah. Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, apart from that, I think the stealth is pretty positive. I mean, I had a real hard time with Valhalla with the stealth detection loop. I hated it I got it, especially the mastery challenges back in the day. If any of you guys, when they first came out, did the mastery challenges where you had to,
I hated it so much.
You have to get finish it in a certain time to get all the rewards and gold, I think, and then you would just get seen through about 3 walls from the other side of the map. It drove me insane. So that's not here in this game, and you know, I'm happy about that, which is good, which is very, very good.
A lot of the issues that Valhalla had with stealth at launch are not in here, definitely.
Yeah.
Detection is fine. They're not seeing you from like kilometers away or miles away. They're not seeing you behind walls or whatever. It's working properly. The responsiveness, like you said, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Marco, I just quickly want to, if you don't mind, just quickly answer a question here in chat from Aplasky. She says, I prefer to play with the HUD completely off for immersion. Okay. Did the developers confirm if you can turn everything off? Also, I've seen clips where Noway doesn't have a sword on the back. Why? To answer the first one, you can turn the whole HUD off. I went through all the settings. You can turn everything off if you want to. That's definitely possible for full immersion, mode. And as for the clips, I'm not sure, Marco, if you know about this one. Doesn't have a sword on the back. The only thing I can think of there is she's changed weapons.
Exactly. What I'm thinking is like she might have because you have like primary and secondary weapon. Like if she's using a tanto and the kusarigama, and she's not using a katana even as a secondary, it might not appear. Which I think it might be nice because you can see. You can better see like the design on her back, like the eagle that is drawn on the back of her.
Exactly. And then Igrek asked earlier as well about the I think it was the sponginess he was saying about it in the game when it comes to combat and Noway. Correct me if I'm wrong there, mate, but I think it was a question. If I just quickly scroll up. Sorry, guys, we are trying our best to get
keeping
back
up
to you.
With all of you guys.
I know, loving the questions though. Do keep them coming because it's actually it's jogging our memory, I think, as well. I'm actually remembering these conversations. I'm like, oh my god, but he said, is the combat sponginess was it a concern once the game is out? It looks like the default leveling scaling is kind of back from Odyssey. And this is specifically for combat. So I don't know, Marco, if you played with Noway or Yasuke and you felt that it was a little bit spongy, a little bit kind of like especially for Noway, took too much damage. Was it too easy to play? Was it too easy to kill? What's your take on that?
I would say maybe not spongy while playing as Noway, but there are some enemies. That if you're not properly leveled, it might feel like you're chipping away at their health. Not as much as in previous games, probably not as much as in Odyssey, for example. I did feel a lot the difference between Yasuke and Noway. That's obviously that was the plan. So if you feel like you are like the enemies in a specific section are like too spongy, you can just shift to like that to Yasuke, and it's going to be much easier. And in that regard, they do not feel spongy at all. Like even the biggest bosses. So I think they did try to find that balance of making the characters feel different as you play. So if some enemies have to be challenging for Yasuke, then those enemies are going to be incredibly challenging as Naoe. So I think that's where some enemies might feel a little tough. But at the same time, if you find your leg work, if you find your style while fighting as Naoe, and you use your abilities properly, because there are abilities for active abilities for combat as well for Naoe, obviously. Then it feels like you can still take on your enemies. You just need to be a little bit more. A little bit better with parrying, with dodging, and then, I mean, you can get the enemies in vulnerable state as Naoe even without parrying, because you can get enemies in vulnerable state by doing a perfect dodge as her. So that means you can cause more damage after you did a dodge. That means you can do that. You can do combat as Naoe as well.
Exactly.
Did you feel the same, or?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you are spot on the money there, because just going back to what Charles Benoit told us as well is, this game it's less focused on the gear and the upgrades and the weapons that you have and all of those socketing gems and stuff. And I mean, use an example back in Valhalla when. Back in the Wrath of the Druids, I think I can't remember exactly the name of the staff that you got for finishing that expansion, but it was just incredibly overpowered. It wasn't Gungnir. It was, I can't remember. It was another Gaebol. Yeah, wonderful name. So basically, it absolutely destroyed everything with lightning blasts and AOE, and you combine that with even with Gungnir, the other staff, and you just absolutely wreck. And there's nothing really, of course there's good weapons and whatnot and bonuses in this game, but it really is focused around skill and not necessarily kind of level gating in many respects. And what I mean by that, because Ikrak there, you've also said the gear was maxed out for most of the playthroughs. I'm worried if I'm underleveled and it won't be enough. Look, if you're underleveled and I did mention this earlier on the stream, but if you are underleveled and let's say, you want to play as a true assassin, but when you play through the main story, you'll go into different areas of the map, which are perhaps 20, 30, 40 levels above you, because the max level in this game is 60, then you can spec your skill tree to put all of your power and buffs into assassination. What this means is that if you were to go into a region without those skills maxed out in assassination, well, you wouldn't be able to complete instant assassination unless you turned it on in the settings. So what this allows you to do, even being level 10, 15 in a 30 or 40 zone, is you can still assassinate your targets. You still complete that. It can complete that playthrough in a stealth manner. You just can't get into any combat. Well, if you do get into combat, you're going to get one-shotted. You're going to get killed. So the same thing could be said about, let's say, just pouring skill points into Naoe in specifically in a Shinobi combat skill tree, is that you could be really impactful and decent in combat when it comes to the damage that she's actually making as a one-on-one compared to, let's say, Yasuke. So there's a lot of different options for you to choose, but they are really not putting a heavy reliance on armor sets, gear sets, and upgrades that you have to grind out. It is more about how you play, as you say, Marco, parrying at the right time, open up that vulnerability state. What moves are you going to use at that time when they're really vulnerable? What abilities do you have that increase the damage for assassinations, counterattacks, and how you play? You can really craft how you want to play in the mastery skill tree, which I think is good, because you can go into regions at level 40, at level 10, and you can kill enemies if you want to. You just have to make sure that you're skilled. You're good at your character, and also you've got enough skill points in the right skill tree to be able to be impactful in those zones. So I hope that gives you a little bit more of a understanding there, mate, in what our experience is. So I just don't feel that this game is restricted in any way by gear at all. I just don't think it is. Not from what I was told.
And it didn't feel like in the build, well, as you're playing, you get different like enemies of different level than yours, like over leveled, and some of the guardian enemies that are like super like overpowered, etc. And you can still take them on combat wise, cool. And also stealth wise. Like you can assassinate over leveled enemies if you're like you mentioned, like if you're putting your skill points in that specific skill tree. So
and then you could use the same with your allies. You could spend a lot of time in your game upgrading your dojo, so you're able to then upgrade your allies to the max level of 3. So if we go back to that assassin, I can't remember his name, but then he would be able to assassinate high level enemies well out of your level range. So that's another possibility there as well. Like that, they don't want us to be restricted by region. Obviously they need to kind of put levels on those regions to say, hey, casual gamer, probably best not to head into that. You can have a hard time. But as you say in chat, Ikrik, mate, like glass cannon, that's perfect. You can go and do that if you want to. You don't have to grind the rest of the map to level up. You don't have to have a legendary master assassin gear
in order to get there.
You just don't. You don't. That's and I think that's a really, really good thing, to be honest with you. So
something else that I wanted to discuss before wrapping up, like because you asked, asked earlier. We did get into stealth. We did talk about combat, how you can face it and whatnot. Wanted to talk about a little bit about parkour, because I wanted to hear your opinions about parkour, because like at first to me it felt a little faster, a little snappier in the basic movements. So my first reaction was like, this is good, but then. I mean, I don't want to influence. I want to hear your first thoughts.
Yeah, sure, man. I'm more than happy to give you my hot take on that for sure. But I think it's always going to be a controversial issue from the old games, because you could argue that there was a lot of emphasis, time, and effort put in by the development teams in the old games to really kind of move parkour forward. And I'm talking about your side ejects, your back ejects, and all of these small subtle movements that take a lot of time from the development teams to put into the game, and also that are hidden. I mean, this I think it was back in Unity that there was parkour moves being discovered years after the game came out, definitely. As an example. So like the point I'm making there is that a lot of time, love, and attention has been put into this mode, and I feel like a lot of people in the community are unhappy at the way that has not perhaps developed as much as they would like, or the attention has not been given to that system, arguably a system which is what made Assassin's Creed beloved and well known across these action kind of RPG games or open world, which it's progressed into. So back to your question, just wanted to kind of phrase that, like, I feel that because I haven't really experienced an Assassin's Creed game in recent memory without going back to play the old ones, where I feel like a parkour system is somewhat relatable from the old games. I feel like anything that would be given to me at this stage in any future Assassin's Creed game would be an upgrade on what we've had, perhaps, let's say, in Valhalla. I do have concerns about the open world. I will get into that. But I thought it was great. And this is going on from Valhalla, but one of the reasons why I think it's great is because the animations and the reactiveness of where I choose to go in game is really good, and it flowed well together. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm running through a courtyard, right? I take a quick right. I use my grapple hook by pressing L1 or LB because I want to get onto that low-hanging roof real fast. Naoe does it. Pulls herself up. I'm running across the roof. I can proactively do a little flip, a little flare myself by pressing circle or B to flip off onto the roof. I can then carry on running. I can automatically vault over the flower bed into this lovely forward roll. I think someone in the chat was talking about, I think it might be Simon, just talking about diving in this game. You can proactively dive into lying prone, and then you can also roll around on the floor by doing so. So then I would see an enemy perhaps coming towards me in the eyesight, in line of sight. I jump in, I do a full dive, which he then does, rolls in. I'm lying flat in the bush, waiting till this enemy's moving on. I'm then rolling out of the bush the animation's nice, back into a full tilt sprint, and then I'm literally flying and vaulting my way up this larger castle building with all of the animations just bouncing off one another. They're paired wonderfully, and I honestly feel that the times that I tried parkour, I could run at the same wall or the same building, and I feel like there would be moves that had been patched together differently, so you wouldn't see the same flips or side movements on running up the same wall. And I feel like the team have done a really great job at trying to make it feel not samey, not repetitive. Yeah, and that's what I like, because as we were talking about earlier, just now way there, just hiding in a well, but just doing a nice little flare flip out of the well and then running into another wall to climb up to it. It just felt nice. It flowed really well together. It melted together, and it made me feel like a cool, fast assassin. I also really like the fact of the speed. You touched on it there, Marco. And it did take me some time initially to get used to, because it felt like Basim from AC Mirage, but we're talking like jacked up Basim, like or like fast. Or you press fast forward or something on your screen, or you're playing at like 2 times the speed. But then I felt like I acclimatized to that pretty quickly thereafter, and I think that it only works because she's so responsive in her movements. And what I mean by that as well is that the directions that you take with your joystick, she does respond well. It's not like a 2-second pause, a 1-second pause or whatnot. I do feel that her natural movements, if you were running at that pace, and the physics behind it, it makes it feel realistic, and you're not just smashing at right angles all across the map. In short, man, I really enjoyed it enough to make it feel like it was actually melting well together with stealth, through my kind of example that I just mentioned there, that I can dive and roll and go prone and then could crouch, and then I can get up and sprint away really quickly, because noise is another mechanic. Maybe we'll speak about that in another stream. But it overall, I think it's a big improvement on the previous games we've seen. My only concern is that, well, there's pretty much non-existent parquet for Yasuke, which means that I'm just rarely going to use him. Apart from, you see these yellow markers, like from Horizon Forbidden West, which basically means you can climb this way with Yasuke. And when you're out in the open world, there's no need to parkour. So the only way you're really going to be utilizing this mechanic is in the cities, in Kyoto, in Osaka, in maybe small towns. But apart from that, when you're out riding around and you're going to these small villages and whatnot, it doesn't exist. It's not going to be there. You're going to be on your horse. So I'm not saying that we're gonna, you can expect the whole game to be Kyoto, Osaka, like Unity in Paris, for example. But there are going to be times where parkour's not going to be needed at all for long periods of time as well. So if you're a big parkour fan, then you're going to stick to the cities, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like, I do feel the same. Like I am a fan of parkour, not necessarily like a hardcore like parkour fan. I
get you.
I am missing some of the moves, like you mentioned, like the side ejects especially. Feels like someone like the hardcore parkour fans are gonna feel like they're missing out on on freedom. But at the same time, there are positives to this parkour, like you mentioned. Not only like the speed and how snappy it is, like in the basic movements, but I also feel, like you said, that it's a like the parkour, but also navigations, like the way in which you can do also like the parkour down and the control descent in different ways, based on the controls and the direction that you input. I think that once you master that, that's going to add up to the stealth sessions and to the strategy and tactics of stealth, because like the parkour article like added, it showed that you can do this backflip when you're facing the opposite direction where you're jumping.
That's right.
And that was like something like that I really enjoyed in that article. Once you master that, I think you can, like you said, like move like from animation to animation in the stealth session, and then I think that can lead up to some amazing stealth sequences for like the hardcore stealth players, that's gonna be freaking amazing. I can see already the videos like about that.
Dude, you've made such a good point there. You've made such a good point about learning those specific moves to get now way into that position, so you know that you can do them.
Yeah.
With that back somersault being a perfect example. So if you now know in game that if you get to this point and you slowly position now in a certain way and then press a certain button with a certain joystick move, that she's going to do that every time, then that's going to make it a lot more enjoyable for those casual parkour fans who don't have to press 20,000 buttons in 3 seconds to do, you know, several somersaults and a throwing knife in multiple different directions. So even though, you know, arguably I do think that there are going to be some stuff there for the purists, of course, but I do think that it's a step in the right direction for sure. And I even speaking to you now, mate, and everyone in chat, like I would want to explore it more. I want to play more. And we discussed this as well after our presentation. It's just, you know, we had some fun, didn't we? That's why we play video games. We had some fun. You know, it doesn't always need to be a complete critique, but really fundamentally, when it comes down to it, do you want to play this video game more? You know, there's
definitely like this this is the perfect note to end the stream on. Like this is it's a fun game to play. It's a game that it makes you want to play more and experiment more with the systems. Like and all of its systems, they it feels like, once again, like with Valhalla, you had the doubt also with Odyssey, like they were trying to appeal to every fan and it wasn't always working. But this time I can't wait to see the various reactions by people when the game gets out, because it does feel like it has something for everybody, and that most of the systems can be bent enough to cater to most play styles. So it is fun to play. Combat is fun. There's enough variety in the enemies. Stealth is fun. Parkour is fun enough, both for casuals and I think for purists as well. It can allow you to do, you know, cool stuff. In the exploration, we didn't touch that too much on this, but we can do that in a future stream. I think Sary did sneak out like a poll on whether people in the chat want to have a second stream, and we have like 88%. Thank you guys.
Who's that 12%?
That was 12%.
Like, oh, no.
I was about to mention that. Like 12% saying no. Oh my god.
No, I respect that.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight. but yeah,
no,
I can't wait to discuss more stuff with you and Arshak in the future. It's going to be
absolutely, man. Like I do think that, you know, it's great fun chatting to you, and we're both passionate about the series. You know, we've got our likes, we've got our dislikes, and I think that it's good to talk and answer questions and hear what everybody else thinks in the chat as well, because that's what makes this fun. Is this going to be a game which is going to be like Red Dead Redemption? You know, no, right? But no, of course not. Is it going to set the world on fire? Probably not. Is it fun to play? Is there improvements? Do we have some new things to try out? Yes. And that's, as an Assassin's Creed fan, look, we're always going to play the Assassin's Creed games. We're going to like some more than we like others. But, you know, I think it's a great, as you say, a great way to end. Do we want to play more of this game? I think we do. Yeah.
I can't wait,
sure.
honestly.
Yeah.
So on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us. So numerous this time in the stream. I was so happy we could organize this to get some of our impressions in a more open way, like to get more in depth, more than our specific content. So I'm really happy to have organized this. Thank you, Andy, much. And thanks to Arshak as well. He's not. He had to dash, but he also had some amazing points to share. And I can't wait to do this again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Thanks to both you and Sary as well for sorting this stream out, for being great hosts as usual. Like, I've had a great time. And Arsh, if you're listening, thanks for stopping by as well, mate. I hope we do this again. You know, in the lead up to launch, man. This is really great, and we got lots more to talk about. So thanks again. Thanks everyone else for joining in. Some great questions as well. Hope to see you in the next one.
See you very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you very soon. Bye.
See you later.